Hello, you're listening to the Saluki Gamescast. This is episode 135 for Wednesday, February 11th, 2026. My name is Justin Young. Joining me as always is Mario Sanders. And Christina is out this week, but we have a special guest. Welcome, Junara Quinn Miller. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a pretty good day. It's actually like the weather is finally, like our mountains of snow have disappeared.
We're finally warming up.
Yeah, like yesterday it was up in the 60s. I actually went for a jog in it. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to die by falling on ice. So like that certainly cheered me up. Junara, like you are a graduate student here in the department. Mm-hmm. Why don't you tell us a little bit about like kind of what you're interested in comm studies?
Academically, I'm particularly interested in trans representation in media, and also the way that we are regulated, right? The way that we are depicted in daily life and in media, and the way that we are perceived by others. I'm particularly interested in coding in media and in real life. Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by coding? Somebody who's listening to this who doesn't know that term, what do you mean by that?
The way that we message our identities without explicitly saying it. For instance, sometimes I will see a student and they'll have a sticker on their laptop that tells me, oh, we may have something in common, right? Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of different ways that we do this. I'm blanking on the name. There was a student that had a really good paper on it in the master's program just a couple of years ago, actually.
Julie.
Julie, yeah, it was Julie. It was Transgressing Society's Rules, I think. It was a really good paper. Mm-hmm. I really like the work that she did, and I'd like to follow in tangential but similar footsteps.
And when you talk about media, is there a specific medium that you're interested in, or like you interested in like film, or is it just kind of media broadly in general?
I find myself leaning towards narratives as a general, but film and TV sets so much of a standard for our culture, as I feel, right? A lot of the time we get our culture from the movies and TV that we watch. It gives a representation of how we think we might supposed to be acting, right? And that specifically has my attention, especially right now. I'm in Dr. Hammer's Sex and Scandal class, and it is absolutely riveting. I'm loving every moment of it, and especially getting to go back and see some older queer media that may today be considered bad or improper, and trying to find positive readings from them. I find it really empowering, and I find it as reconnecting with other versions of transness across history.
Interesting. Is there a piece of media today, like a television show or a recent film, that you find particularly interesting?
I mean,
I know I'm putting you a bit on the spot with that question, but I just always wonder about that because, you know, it's something like over the years as somebody who studies media, right? Like I've certainly seen that change, right? Like it's certainly, you know, when you're talking about older media, like I always think about like The Crying Game, which is a film that like people almost like will not watch anymore because it's so problematic in its representation versus, you know, I think about more modern shows that seem to do much better with it.
Yeah, that's actually like a lot of what we're dealing with in the class is like these other versions of transness that might not be considered quite as acceptable nowadays, right? And I think that's really interesting, getting to see how other people have done trans in different times. The piece of media that today sticks out the most to me, and it's topical, we're on a games podcast, it's Fallout. Fallout is riveting, specifically with what it has to say about conformity, I think. A lot of the time, queerness, transness has a lot to do with a lack of conformity or how we conform when we don't conform, right? And I think that Fallout, especially the second season, has been dealing with that more and more. If you've been watching, the mind blowers or the little things in the people's minds are very heavily about control, right? About conforming to a certain type of ideal that maybe people like me wouldn't fit into.
All right, cool. That's interesting.
Yeah, I've been loving the show. Season 2 just wrapped up. It was really good.
Cool. Well, why don't you also share with us, like, maybe some of the types of things that you like to play? I should note that if you go to SalukiGames.com, you did a Game of the Year list for us, so you do talk about some games there. But for people who haven't read that yet, don't stop the podcast and go read it. You can read it after listeing to the podcast.
Yeah, you can get that one later. Get a double dose of Gennaro today if you so desire,
Sure.
if you so dare. So my games of 2015, it was the most Moorish games. A lot of like roguelikes and very casual games. I find that those cater to me a lot better now that I'm in grad school. I love nothing more than like putting on a paper like it's a podcast and like doing something incredibly light work video gaming wise as I'm listening to it. Even if that's not the only listen or the only read I give a paper, it gives me a better understanding and it softens the ground for when I go in for a more in-depth read later, right? It primes me for the concepts I'm going to be interacting with. And sometimes I want just a little bit of pretty gaming lights in the background while I'm doing that. Ball-X Pit has been really good for that. It's like a roguelike version of Breakout, which is wild but fascinating. And it is even, like, it'll play itself eventually if you have the right characters. You unlock characters, and there's a character that'll just play the game himself. And that's been absolutely perfect for it. I'm like, no, I need to focus on this paper right now. Mega Bonk has been good too. I've been seeing, I've just downloaded Absalom recently. Absalom? Oh, I've been loving that. It was challenging at first, but like many roguelikes, it gets so much more rewarding over time. And I absolutely adore that sensation in a video game. Rarely is there ever something that I love as much in a video game as starting off super weak, struggling on everything, and then slowly getting better, and then just stomping through everything because, you know, that's fun. I like struggling and then getting better.
Yeah, it's that classic pyre fantasy of video games, right? Like, I think sometimes video games get that wrong, and they want to start off with you super powerful, and it doesn't feel quite as rewarding.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
Like, you need to show, like, we make these things so strong because they're so powerful and they'll destroy you when you're beginning. But when you get good at the game, well, then you can beat them. And I love that. Or when you've advanced in the game, gotten the right gear or whatever.
All right.
Yeah, I know I had talked about Absalom last week. I've been playing it. And I think I had joked that at first I was like, I think I might just be bad, like, at this game.
Okay, but it really gives you that feeling. I had that feeling getting into the game a lot.
The Under King, I was like, he just kicked my ass.
That's like the Dwarf King, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was over and over again. And then I ended up watching a video, and I kind of was like, oh, Mario, that's right. It's it is so much more about build of, you know, the upgrades you're taking than like any real skill that you have in the game.
Also, I find the game gets way easier once you get the third, like when you get 3 options instead of 2.
Oh, sure.
Have you gotten there yet?
Yes,
Okay.
I've beaten it all the way through at this
I'm at
point.
like 60% progression or something.
So, yeah, it definitely does. Just getting a third option,
it's
absolutely. But yeah, it's a very cool game. I think, you know, it for me is very reminiscent. It plays very similar to, I think, the way that Hades plays.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's such a different game, but it does play similarly.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's one of those things that is like, you don't expect the same exact thing, obviously, but there's enough overlap that I feel like if you were a Hades enjoyer, you'd probably like this one as well.
Yeah, it certainly meets that Hades itch now that Hades 2 is finally finished.
I feel like with roguelikes that you've seen that progression of them learning from one another. Like when I go back and I play something like Rogue Legacy, because that game felt very much like one of the first ones to sort of start this new era of roguelikes, right? And you go back and you play that, and now you play more modern ones and you see like, well, yeah, they learned from that, but they're much more pulling from more recent releases. They're much more pulling from things like, like you just said, but also like I was thinking like Vampire Survivors, and so many I see now are pulling from that game as well. And so, you know, as a genre, the like evolution that roguelikes have taken in recent years has been really interesting to watch.
Yeah. Vampire Survivor was like an instant classic to me. I loved that game immediately.
Yeah, it was our game of the year that year, I believe.
That makes sense.
All right. Well, Gennaro, we're happy to have you join
so
us
much.
and everything for the podcast. Mario, how have you been?
They're pretty good. I've mostly just been like no life watching the Olympics, which has been pretty great. So, yep.
Nice.
Favorite sport so far that you've been watching?
My favorite is curling, but I think the two that I've watched the most are probably curling and figure skating at this point.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Um,
Curling is such an interesting sport.
It's the best. Like I say that like completely seriously. It is. I feel like now that I've like developed enough over the past like couple of Olympics, like really starting to follow it and like finding opportunities to watch it when it's not Olympics time, and just like actually understanding it with some amount of depth. I think it's just so good.
That's awesome.
all right. You and I have talked about this off air and everything, that like the fun of the Olympics are the sports that you don't normally get to see. Like Olympic hockey is cool, but like Olympic hockey, like you can see hockey, in the NHL anytime. Like the other day I was watching the women's hockey because I was like, well, I never get to see women's hockey. Like this is actually kind of interesting to watch. But I always want to watch the sports that you don't get to see in the 4 years in between, right? Like figure skating, you get to see some,
Sure.
but like curling is one of those sports that you can find it, especially with the internet now, but like it's difficult and you don't see it very often.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat when it's on TV and readily accessible and it's the best people in the world at it to tune in and watch some of that. I've been watching a lot of the skiing because I just think the skiing's insane. And especially when you're watching, like they've been doing it with drones. Have you watched some of that?
Yeah.
Like I think one of the things that the drone footage does really well is hammer home the point of how fast and terrifying what these people are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you're watching it from that camera angle down at the bottom of the slope, like you can tell that, these are obviously incredible skiers, right? But it's hard to tell like exactly how fast they're going. And then you watch it from that drone perspective and you're like, how are these people even managing to move at all, like in the time that they have between, if they're doing slalom going between the gates or something. Like I think it helps for me as an audience member to appreciate better the skill that's actually involved with what they're doing, like how high level that skill is.
Yeah, I think the one that really stuck out to me was watching some of the luge with the drone footage, and it's just like,
too.
Oh yeah, they are really moving down this course.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been great, but I do agree with you. Like I might watch whenever like the gold medal game is for hockey, but I probably won't watch a ton of like round robin stuff. I think for me the best part about hockey in the Olympics is it's like the All-Star game, but it actually matters. So like they're really trying, but you essentially have these all-star teams, and so that is the most exciting part. But you're not wrong. I can and do watch hockey when it's not the Olympics. So
And the hockey rink at the Olympics is bigger, right? Isn't it like slightly larger?
that I don't know. I do feel like that's accurate. There are slightly different rules in like international hockey as compared to the NHL, but
It's like a faster game, I feel like, in the Olympics.
that's
A bigger field makes a faster game.
Well, because they're not
more
bumping into
space.
each other
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
as often.
Yeah.
Right.
There's more space to like, and so that just like changes the way that like strategy.
Yeah, on the ice, I
happens.
imagine that allows you to build up more speed, actually.
Sure. It's the reason why. So like in the NHL, they recently changed the rules for overtime, whereas instead of it being 5-on-5, it's now 3-on-3. And so there's just so much space for offenses to operate that
It's just NHL hits.
yeah, basically. And so yeah, it's interesting how something that seems so, I don't know, innocuous can actually like change pretty
Yeah,
significantly.
that's cool.
Well, at the last Summer Olympics, they introduced that 3-on-3 basketball, at least for the Olympics. I mean, I know people have played that before, and it was interesting watching something like that because you start going, oh, like, no, you can't just take LeBron James and put him into this. Like, you can't just take the best NBA players and put them into this 3-on-3 tournament because the game is actually played slightly differently.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that, of course, the top NBA players probably could play that, but like you are having to like think about the game somewhat differently.
Mm-hmm.
I always think that's interesting to see like a sport just tweaked slightly enough that it makes it feel different.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be college football and the NFL were like that.
Well, that is also the case with curling, because you have the typical like men's and women's tournament, but then they also, which is 4 people teams, but then they have a mixed doubles,
Right.
which is, so it's 1 man and 1 woman on each team. They throw less stones. They have like existing stones that start on the sheet, and so I know there's some people. I have a friend who he doesn't really like the mixed doubles because of all of those rule changes, but it like makes for a very different strategic approach to the matches.
And I think that's new for the Olympics this year, isn't it? The mixed.
No, they've had mixed for a few Olympics at this point, but yeah.
All right. Well, enough Olympics talk, or else we'll have to start a different podcast. Why don't we jump
games, kind of.
Yeah, it's a game of sort. It is the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
It has games in the title.
Mario and Sonic, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mario and Sonic. There's probably curling in one of those games.
There's definitely curling in at least one of them.
Yeah.
Have you played it?
I don't think I've ever played it. I've seen it played, but
Okay.
yeah.
Well, anyways, why don't we move on to some actual video games? Mario, why don't we start with you? What have you been playing?
Sure. So it has been not as much because of the Olympics, but the one that I actually finally got back to playing more of was Final Fantasy VII Remake. That is such an interesting game, having just played the original last year for the first time.
Whoa, for the first time.
For the first time, yeah. It's so interesting, like how they have just get to expand some of these characters. So like thinking about like Jesse and Biggs and Wedge, who they're there in the original, but they don't really get much of a characterization a ton. They're very like one note, right? And
Biggs and Wedge particularly felt almost like cameos because those characters appear in every Final Fantasy game.
Sure, yeah.
I did not know that.
And so it's interesting to see them get to be slightly more full characters. I've heard other people talk about this as well. I understand maybe frustration is the right word, that like Jessie just gets turned into like heart eyes emoji for Cloud. That like that's kind of her whole character in the game. It's fun and it's cute, but I do also wish that she may have been a little bit more than that as well.
Particularly because the 2 main female characters in that game are already his love interest.
Yeah.
So like doubling down on that, or tripling down, I guess.
We get it. Cloud is hot.
It just feels like, you could have her at one point go like kind of wink at him or something and then move on and establish like, she's, I don't know, a red-blooded female and like sees that he's good looking and then like move on very quickly without like belaboring the point.
Yeah. And I mean, it's one of those, I am still somewhat early-ish on, so we'll hope to see her continue to develop more. You do start to get like some of her like family history and stuff before she joined Avalanche, which I think is super interesting. So I'd love to see them go more in that direction, but there are the points where like, okay, yep, she's just unabashedly just flirting with Cloud, which fine, great. Hey, shouts out to being confident, gal. But I think the thing that's so different is just the combat system, and I get that we've really moved away from the traditional turn-based JRPG combat, but I do find myself missing it.
I mean, Expedition 33 came out in the past 8 months.
I mean, I'm not to say that it doesn't exist entirely, but I mean, I think that is an exception.
You're right.
Right? Like most
It's gone out of style, if anything.
A lot of RPGs have changed to this action combat. A lot of the Square Enix ones, a lot of the Final Fantasy games had shifted to that action style.
How is the combat in Rebirth?
It's fine.
Remake. You're playing.
I'm playing Remake. Yeah, I'll play Rebirth at some point. I assume they're the same, though. The combat, that is.
It
It's
is.
the same game extended, right?
Essentially, right? So
It's the same remake, but they split it up.
yeah, so essentially they took 7 and split it into 3 games.
When is the third one coming out? Has it come out yet?
No. The third one hasn't even been officially announced
It's been a minute since the second one, though, right?
2024.
Okay.
So
Less time than I thought. But
would expect, because I think Remake came out in like 2018, 2019. So
okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I would expect the third one to be like 2030, 2029. But yeah, the combat is fine. I think the thing that I don't like about it as much is because you only get control of one character at a time. It's hard to, like, I feel like the builds, I'm spreading out sort of like I need Cloud to be my like magic user and I need him to be my tank and I need him to be this, when in actuality, like I feel like I want to spread those things out, but then changing between characters, it just doesn't feel as natural when I'm controlling it. And that's probably a skill issue, but
No,
yeah,
I don't think it's a skill issue.
but it's
Design issue, skill issue.
maybe. I mean, I guess I'm sure there are people who are certainly far better at navigating it than I am. But there are times where I just feel like it's very clumsy trying to move between these characters, trying to like, okay, I need Tifa to be casting this and I need Barrett to be doing this while I'm still hacking and slashing with Cloud. And so I know there are multiple combat systems. There's one that you can have it where they will do your character, even the one that you're controlling, they will do all of the basic attacks on their own so that you're only responsible for doing like the commands.
Interesting.
And I tried that as well. I also didn't really love that one either. So it's the part of the game I like the least, that's for sure.
What do you like most?
I love the way that they've expanded the story, right?
Okay.
So the remake is basically just your time in Midgar. And so like they've turned what is maybe like 10 hours in the first game into a 40-hour game. And so getting to really explore Midgar is pretty cool, getting to engage with those characters, doing like the side missions and stuff like that. I think that's fantastic. And so, you know, I may not necessarily love the direction they went with Jessie's character, but I love that she's like an actual full character now.
Right.
So that I think is great. And that's like, I am genuinely loving that aspect of it. The combat is fine. Like it's a necessary evil. You know, it feels like.
It does have to be a game, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the reason I jumped in on you about the combat is that like I agree with you, and it's like one of my big complaints about modern role playing games is like playing Final Fantasy 16. I know that was one of the issues I had with that was that I felt like I lost a lot of that strategic element of the game, like in trying to move it more towards just an action game. Like part of what I always liked about role-playing games was, okay, here's my magic user, here's my healer, here's my tank, here's my, different, this is my, like melee, here's my person who's going to use ranged weapons. Like that sort of strategy in playing one of those games, you lose that element.
Yeah.
And to me, it hurts my enjoyment for a lot of these games, even though I liked Remake quite a bit. I think it's a really fantastic, like you said, an expansion of the game. It's like part of what hurt it also, and I think it's actually better than Final Fantasy 16, which like leans even more heavy in that direction. But I think one of the things that hurts it is losing that.
Yeah.
Because at some point, like Barrett and the other characters, you lose some of your connection with them.
Definitely.
Because you're not controlling them, and they don't feel as active members of your party because of that. And so like I feel like if I was playing Final Fantasy Remake for the first time and had not played the original, I don't know if I would have had the same connection to those characters.
Yeah, it made me think to 2 years ago when we were doing our Game of the Year podcast, and Alicia was talking about Rebirth, and I think I I didn't mean for it to come off as dismissive, and I hope it didn't, but I kind of was like, I don't know how I feel about putting like a remake of a game as like one of our, as like our, in the top 5. I think it made our top 10, but I don't think it made our top 5. It was like number 6 or something.
Yeah.
And having played remake, I'm like, all right, you know what? Like, this is enough of a different experience that like I would feel wrong say if somebody was like, oh, I've never played Final Fantasy VII, I'd love to play it. I don't feel like I could just like, oh, just play the remake. They really are, they feel like such different experiences that I would say you should play the original as well.
That's so interesting to me because I have a very weird relationship with Final Fantasy VII. I've only played Crisis Core.
Okay.
I had Crisis Core on PSP as a kid, and I loved it. I thought Zack was really cool. I thought Sephiroth was a fascinating character design. And Final Fantasy already had like such a fandom and a lore when I got into it, right? And I knew that 7 was the one that everyone liked, but I didn't really understand why. And it's always been a thing of like, maybe one day I'll go back and play the old one. Which was, my ears perked up when you're like, oh, I played it last year. And I'm like, well, how was it though?
I mean, I really enjoyed it. I think it's, there's a reason why it's, you know, considered to be one of the best games of all time and so many people's favorite game of all time. I would enthusiastically say that these are different enough experiences that you would lose out if you were to just play the remake. And I don't want to say that in the sense of it's like objectively worse, but I think
it's different.
They are different enough that it's worth experiencing both of them.
Interesting. Because I have, I think, Remake downloaded on Steam, or I have it like purchased on Steam. I just haven't had the time. I think I got it like not this Christmas, but last Christmas. And
it's a big RPG. There's a commitment to it.
I think part of the problem is the term remake, and like I would apply more the term a reimagining, almost like you went back and there was some original text that the original Final Fantasy VII and remake are both adaptations of, and this is somebody, so that Final Fantasy VII is not a remake of the original Final Fantasy VII. It's more of a different adaptation of that original text. Sort of in the way that you see different interpretations of different adaptations of something like Wuthering Heights, right? Like that new one's coming out this weekend, and you go, okay, well, these are both pulling from the same novel, but they're not at all similar as adaptations. And I think that makes it really stand out from most video game, quote unquote, remakes. Because most of the time what we're getting is better graphics. Maybe there's some additional levels in here or something. But like, that's really like they went back to the ground level and said, okay, what's the basic story? What are maybe some key points that are interesting, and then let's like redevelop this and rethink how we tell this story. And I think by the time you get to the end of remake, they really drive home that point, like how dramatically different it is. And so it's a really interesting approach to that, because I'm sort of difficult to think of another game that has had that dramatic of approach to remaking the original. Film is easier to think of, but like video games, it's not something that video games have done all that often usually.
Yeah, for sure. So that I'm glad that like I said, it had been a while since I had picked it back up, and so I'm glad to have had a chance to play a little bit more of that. The other one that I just started is that this is my podcast game that I have 30 minutes, so I'm going to play it, is called Omelet You Cook. I think
I'm going to let you cook, but omelet?
Maybe. I don't know if that's necessarily, but it's Omelet You Cook. That's the name of the game.
It sounds like a pun for "I'm gonna let you cook."
It might be. I
might be crazy.
I'm
gonna let you cook omelet.
Not even registered.
I was like, oh, what fun naming! I'm like so excited for the naming.
And it's a roguelike. You play as like a school chef, and you have ingredients, and you make an omelet.
You sir had me at roguelike.
It is a roguelike, that's for sure. I think, like I said, early access, it came out last year, but like the official 1.0 release came out like yesterday or 2 days ago.
Oh, wow.
And so basically you have a conveyor belt of ingredients and you drop those ingredients onto this omelet and the ingredients score points. So like a tomato is worth 3 points, but you get -3 points for a tomato if it's touching another tomato. Broccoli is worth 2 points for each other vegetable that's touching it. Or, there's another one that's, if any meat is touching this, you get 2 bonus points. And then you got essentially like the Balatro version of Jokers of like helpers that boost the score of this is a crunchy ingredient. This is a veggie ingredient. And so, it's fun and silly. And each of the little customers you have their own quirks and stuff like that. So it's been a fun little one. I think it's like, maybe $9 is what I got it for yesterday.
It is
Currently on sale for $9.89. I'm so sorry. You were also looking at, huh?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
It's $15 normally, but it's on sale for $10 at the moment. So
yeah, I think and there was one of those bundles where I was able to get it for even cheaper because it was like packaged with Let's Be a Landlord or something. And so it was another 10% off. So yeah, you can get it for under $10. It's a cute little game. It looks like there's a lot similar to like how Balatro has the different decks you can play. There's a lot of like different starting ingredients that you can play. So like one of them you start with bell peppers and bacon. Another one you started with broccoli and tomatoes. And so, it's a cool little game.
Has a neat little art style. Like, it's sort of that.
It's adorable. I have it pulled up here. It's really cute.
That mobile sort of art style to it, but like not quite the mobile. Like, I mean, I don't know how to quite explain that. It doesn't look as disposable as a mobile game,
sure,
but has that sort of like look to it.
Yeah,
to a degree.
The vibrant colors.
Yeah, the like sort of simple shapes and stuff.
Yeah, and I think I'm very happy with it because it is one of those games. Yeah, I think I tried for about 45 seconds to play Final Fantasy while also having the Olympics on, and that was not going to happen. This is a game I can play while also having the Olympics on.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy is one of those games you would have to constantly be muting the Olympics because I want to hear the voice acting here.
Yeah.
Like, this is important.
I play so many games on mute. That's like my dirty little gaming secret.
If I can play a game on mute, I'm pretty happy. But there are many that I'd feel bad if I did that to Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about it all the time, like podcast games, right? The game that you put on while you're listening to something else in the background. All right, is that it?
That's it.
All right, Gennaro, what have you been playing?
Like I said earlier, I've been playing a lot of like roguelikes and kind of Moorish games. Interestingly, one of the things I picked up recently was Hearthstone. I went back to Hearthstone. One of my roommates, like their partner was in our apartment, was like, "What are you playing Hearthstone? That game died forever ago."
Which version of Hearthstone are you playing?
So like mode
like
or
the Battlegrounds mode?
I play them all.
Okay.
Okay, maybe not all. I don't do Arena right now because Arena, like, you have to have tickets or whatever, right? I really like Battlegrounds. I think Battlegrounds is really fun. I like a good auto battler.
Scott and I play a lot of Battlegrounds, and so that's the only one I'm really familiar with, but that's why I ask.
You should hit me up. I would love to play sometime. I think it's very fun. I really enjoy the like auto battler nature of it. But I had gotten like an iPad for class recently, and I've been playing like Hearthstone on that. It's been like more mobile games. Did you know that XCOM 1 and 2 are on iPad?
I didn't, but that doesn't surprise me.
It surprised me.
At least the first one feels simple enough that it would work well on an iPad.
It's pretty nice. There's like a weird issue with limited save slots that I'm running into, which is not fun because I am a save scummer, if I'm honest. I totally am. I don't want that person to die. I want to win the mission. I want to survive with everybody intact. Thank you. I named them. They are my friends now.
I'm just distracted because when you mentioned that, I was thinking of the original XCOM 1 and 2, like Terror from the Deep.
14.
And so there was a moment where I was thinking, Man, that's like so weird, but so cool. They put those old games on there from the 90s. But yeah, no, that does not surprise me. But those games seem very much like very easy to port over to an iPad.
Yeah.
And that would be a good way to play them.
It really is. For me, and it was a thing that I was thinking about the whole time that you were talking about Final Fantasy VII. I think a lot about like accessibility in games, and like I don't always have the time to sit and do an action game, right? But a turn-based game, a game that is a roguelike where I can pause it whenever, that's very important to me. It makes it easier to do my games and still do my life, right? Again, one of the things I really like doing is I'll just put on a paper, even if it's a paper that's not necessarily assigned, just to like be like, I'd like to see what the ideas in this thing are, right? Mm-hmm. By the way, Mario, I'm so sorry I have not read your thing on God of War yet.
I'm not offended. It's very okay.
I am disappointed in myself, though, is the thing. It was a busy break. I had family over.
Understandable.
Yeah. But I really love just like putting something on and being like, okay, I can get a better understanding of this. And I can get my gaming time in. I can get a little bit de-stressed and get some more knowledge. And that's like just one of the things I love the most in life.
Yeah, no, I mean, I mean, right, and with XCOM, like that's something that it's like, oh, I need to do something. I can just like sort of swipe out of the app and then come right back to it.
It's so casual.
30 minutes later or whenever that I actually have some time again.
Yeah.
So that sounds fantastic.
And XCOM is one of those games that, like, if you step away from it for a few minutes and come back,
you're not dead.
Yeah, you're not lost.
Yeah.
Like you're not like I feel like an action game.
Yeah.
I can't step away from
a lot with Megabonk.
Yeah.
I've played a lot of Megabonk, and I'll come back and I'll just wake to just dead immediately, and I'm like, oh, that was sad.
Yeah. So like XCOM really, I mean, that style of game makes a whole lot of sense for a portable device. They should port that Marvel game that they did in the XCOM style.
Snap?
Midnight Suns.
Oh, Midnight Suns.
That's from the same people that did XCOM.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was like a... Tell me about Marvel Midnight Suns if you don't mind.
It's
XCOM, but it's Marvel. So you have like Blade and
Say more, I'm intrigued.
Blade and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange on your team. You have like your own create a character superhero.
Midnight Suns, you said?
Midnight Suns, yeah.
Yeah, it's based on the comic books.
SUNS.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's based on comic books, but there's a run of comic books called Midnight Suns.
Okay.
And yeah, you have you're fighting enemies. I'm not. This is where we need Alicia to come in to talk about knowing Marvel.
Yes. I feel like anytime comic books comes up, I'm like, well, we got so used to just going, Alicia, just talk about this for a few minutes.
Now we have to stumble through trying to talk about it.
My knowledge is the movies and cartoons when I was a kid, and the few comic books I did read as a kid, but 30 years.
Yeah.
I've been reading those.
But yeah, but anyways, it's said Marvel Tactics style game, but
it's good.
XCOM, but in that with the Marvel characters.
For those even 30% as interested as me, it is on sale for $10 right now.
Oh, nice.
That's 85% off. I'm just saying.
That sounds right. That game really bombed when it got released.
I thought it was like a mobile game with like microtransactions, if I'm honest. That's why I didn't play. I remember hearing about it and I was like, another mobile game, not my thing.
Well, it uses cards. And so I think it scared a lot of people away because they thought it was like a card battler. And it's really not. The cards are just really kind of a stand-in for your abilities and everything. So it's really much more like XCOM than it is anything else.
I'm gonna be honest. I thought it would be more like Hearthstone, where like it's gonna drain my bank account if I want to play top tier deck or whatever.
I mean, I'm sure there are like skins and stuff that you can buy if you want to, but it is a full game.
Aren't there always?
It's a good game. Like it's one of those games that a very overlooked game.
Yeah,
I feel like.
I didn't pick it up yet just because it's going to be more effort to plug in my credit card information while we're in the podcast that I want to do right now.
Understandable.
But that's my game for the night, I think, actually.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So you've been playing XCOM. Anything else?
Absalom has been really good. Absalom. Unnamed Space Idol is fun. That's another, like, takes very little, and it feels really cool. I like unnamed space idle because I feel like the captain of a ship. Like it feels very much like low-key my Star Trek adventure.
I don't know that game. What is the game, I guess?
So it is a clicker game almost.
Okay.
Or like an auto. It's very interesting.
It's an idle game.
It is an idle. That's the word. I was blanking on idle. It is an idle game. I feel like it may be bridging in evolution in what idle games can be, because it's got a lot of stuff that's going on. I really like it. I've played like Cookie Clicker and Antimatter Dimensions or whatever it was. I liked those. Those are some pretty fun idle games. But Unnamed Space Idle, the way that it's got so many good things going on, it almost doesn't feel like an idler sometimes in the exact right way. And it does have a habit of like just 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. It's okay. I can get to that paper later. 5 more minutes. It's the worst. It's so dangerous. I love it. I got into that game in undergrad, and I'm glad I got it out of my system in undergrad.
Yeah. I know you talked about that in your end of the year list, and I was interested because that was one I had not heard of off of your list prior to seeing it there.
It's really fun. I love the restarting and then getting to just like it's the power fantasy again, but like different. Right. I don't know. I think it's really fun. I think it's really cool just to like ram through and do all the stuff. I like the optimization of it.
Yeah, idle games are very addictive. Like
so addictive. Oh my
because
God.
I mean, idle games are basically taking the basic video game and stripping it down to the most basic like parts and saying the numbers go up.
I love it. The numbers go up. It's so good.
Number get big.
Yeah, I mean,
it make me feel good when it's like e to the 27. I'm like, that's a big number.
I mean that game Egg Inc. on mobile devices, like that game is just watch the numbers go up. Like, you know, your eyes like kind of roll into the back of your head and you're like, I'm making a lot of eggs. And you're like, what am I doing?
I personally find value in it because I don't know about you guys, but as academics, we don't always see a lot of progress in what we're doing. And when I get to see like these tangible progresses, even if it's for 20 minutes at a time, it makes me feel validated and stuff. Like, oh, the labor I'm putting in isn't just going into this nebulous place of like, maybe it'll pay off, maybe it won't.
Well, it's like we were talking about earlier, the sort of pyre fantasy, like this is a different type of pyre fantasy, right? Like this is, I know Alicia sent a thing earlier about Pyre Wash Simulator, and like Pyre Wash Simulator, part of the like reason that game is so rewarding is you spend 5 minutes and you've completely like cleaned something and you're like, oh, I like feel like I've accomplished something. And I think a lot of idle games, that's the at least initial reward of them. Like you feel like, oh, like, you know, I had this running and I actually accomplished something. I get to upgrade all of this, and look, my base gets bigger, my ship gets bigger. Like, you know, there's a certain reward there to them.
It can be really gratifying.
Yeah. I mean, Mario, you're right. It's that dopamine hit of,
it really is.
like, I've accomplished something.
Sometimes that's all I'm looking for. I'm just looking for something to like, oh, that was fun. Now I can get back to work.
I think with grad students, that is often because it feels like a losing battle, right? Like,
whew, you're telling me, man.
All right, cool. Is that everything?
Yeah, I think that's all the games I've been playing. Dabbling a little bit of Megabonk. I like Megabonk a lot. It's pretty fun.
Cool. All right. Well, the main thing I've been playing is I've still been playing Big Hops. So I talked about it last episode. Big Hops is a new 3D platformer that is paying homage to N64 platformers in a lot of ways. But like, I really think it's
It's so cute. I didn't know it was so cute. Sorry.
It's really borrowing a lot from, I would say, Mario Odyssey and Astrobot in this like sort of modern style of, okay, well, we're just going to throw a lot of different gameplay ideas in here so that as you're going through levels and progressing, you're constantly getting introduced to like new gameplay mechanics. And I know last week I talked about when the game begins, it's a little overwhelming because they throw a lot at you. They get better at like kind of spacing that out, introducing new elements. So like one of the things that you do, there's like these trees and they'll have balls on them, or fruit. I guess they're supposed to be fruit, and you're a frog, so you grab them with your tongue and then you spit them, and then they will bounce around the environment, and you can basically get like 50 of these bouncing around the environment. Whoa. Then you can use your tongue to launch yourself off of them. So like there'll be areas you walk into a room and there's a big gap from one side to the other. You have to get those balls bouncing everywhere and then use those to like slingshot yourself across the chasm to the other side. They do that later there's a fruit that wherever you shoot it, it fires a rope out across to the other side of the room. And so you're starting to construct basically a rope course to get yourself across a room. And that starts off very kind of simple, like, okay, well, here's a gap. You have to get across this. And then they start doing things like making it vertical. So now all of a sudden you're having to like climb up these ropes and then fire the next rope and then get up to it and then use that as a way to sort of scaffold your way up an environment. And then they kind of like do a twist on it a little later. This isn't a spoiler, but there's a segment in the game where you're having to do stealth your way through an environment and you're avoiding guards, and you realize, oh, okay, I have to use these ropes in order to get myself over the head of the guards to avoid their detection, to avoid detection from security cameras and that sort of thing. So it's always like kind of coming up with new inventive ways to use the mechanics. And so I know like last week when I talked about it very early in the game, I was kind of a little down on how big the environments are, and sometimes traversing the environments is more kind of a bore than it is like fun and joyous in the way that I would say it is in Astro Bot or Mario. And I still think that's like one of the biggest downfalls of this game. But like those gameplay mechanics can be really like great when they work. I would say the biggest negative about them is that sometimes they're a little bit tedious. So like trying to use those ropes in order to get your way up an environment can sometimes be a little slow. And so I'm sure somebody who has played more of this game and has really kind of devoted themselves to it, there's probably going to be videos out there of people breaking the physics of the game in some way and like catapulting themselves. And they're like, the speed running of this game is going to be really interesting to watch someday with a lot of this. For somebody like me who's not doing that, it can at times be a little bit tedious, but I will say it is keeping me going just because every new thing that it introduces, I'm kind of excited about. Like, I want to see what this new mechanic is going to be. How are they going to take this old mechanic and kind of twist it in a new way? And so, you know, the progress in the game, it's always kind of giving you some sort of new reward. You're sort of collecting these little pins that go on your backpack, and those give you new abilities, and you get to choose. It's not really a roguelike, because I'm pretty sure by the end you'll get to collect all the pins, but it's presented in a very roguelike way of, do you want this ability or this ability? So like all that works and is really interesting and probably changes the way that you play the game fairly dramatically, I would guess. But yeah, like it's a neat game. You know, I think the more I play it, the more I like it, which is a good sign. But like, I wonder if a lot of people are going to bounce off of it pretty early on because of some of those problems I've talked about.
Do you have any idea of how much of the game you've played through at this point?
I actually don't know how far I am into the game. I'm several hours into the game. And I don't feel like I'm anywhere near the 50% point of the game. Just because of some of the things it's telling me I need to do, right? Without revealing what those are. I think this feels like there's still quite a bit left to do. But like, and you know, one of the things that the game does, it has a lock picking game that is kind of interesting, where you as a frog are sticking your tongue through the lock and like having to like hit the pins and everything, and it does that in a really kind of fun way. So, if you like Astro Boy, if you like Mario Odyssey, if you don't mind something that's not quite as polished as those, but like is constantly kind of introducing new ways to play with it, I think this is a pretty decent game. That's cool. And if you want more about that game, I did talk about it on last week's episode more, so check that out. All right, well, why don't we move on over into news? And probably the biggest news of this last week was there was a Nintendo Direct. It was their third-party Direct. They were very clear on that up front. This is going to be focused on partners, not on first-party titles. Turned out there were no first-party titles. Sometimes they sneak one in, even though they say. There are rumors out, again, that Nintendo will do some first-party Direct in the coming weeks, but like those are just rumors. But as part of that Nintendo Direct, they did show off some things. One thing they did not show off here in the United States was they have a new Goemon collection, 13 different games from the Goemon series. This is probably better known to Americans as Legend of the Mystic Ninja. There's 13 games in this collection, and so far this has only been announced for Japan. The only reason I can imagine this not coming to the U.S. is that there's a lot of translation because there's a lot of text in those games. So I could imagine that preventing it, but otherwise it seems a little surprising that would not get a U.S. release, particularly because you could really advertise that heavily as, 11 of these games have never been released in the U.S. Have
y'all ever played the Goemon games?
I played the original Legend of the Mystic Ninja on the Super Nintendo.
I was curious.
Yeah, it's it's kind of an action adventure title. They put one on the Nintendo 64. I think those are the only two that ever came out in the U.S. But they put one out on the 64, and they're kind of action adventure games. Pretty kind of straightforward. But at that time, a little bit more adventure elements than most games were getting for that era.
Thank you. I was just curious.
No, I liked the one for the Super Nintendo and the N64. I think those are good games. It's kind of weird they never put out more of them in the U.S., but that was an era where a lot of games didn't come out in the U.S., including the Super Bomberman collection, which they did announce for a U.S. release. So this is going to be 7 games. These are all games that came out for the NES or Super NES. That's where the Super Bomberman games were originally released. I think maybe one of those made it to the U.S., but like 5 or so of them never came out in the U.S. So this is actually coming out. I don't know if people need 7 Bomberman games. It's kind of a little bit weird seeing that. I think also the problem is that they continue not to re-release the Bomberman games that people really want a re-release of, which is the TurboGrafx-16 one and the Saturn Bomberman games. So those are the ones that the Saturn one in particular has 10-player co-op in it. And so I think those are the games that people really want. So it's a little weird to put this collection out and not just make, say, a Bomberman collection and put all of those games on there together.
How did you get 10 people playing a game on a Saturn?
It had a multi-tap, etc.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you could plug
I'm
in.
Honest, I'm also thinking about the logistics of having 10 people in a room.
Sure, yeah. Well, and you have to think of television size at that time.
Yeah.
People are mostly playing on a 30-inch CRT television. They're not playing on our 85-inch, televisions of today. Bomberman is just one of those franchises where it's really weird in this age of downloadable games and multiplayer focused games, that they have not just made a modern Bomberman that's, at least 10 players, let's say, that you could play on the internet against people and everything. I know they've made those Bomberman R games, but that's not quite what people are looking for, I think, in most cases.
That, or I'm surprised they never made like a Bomberman Battle Royale.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking too. When you said online, I'm like, okay, why isn't there a Battle Royale yet?
Yeah, 100 Bombermen drop into a maze.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That'd be the way to get me into Bomberman. I'm going to be honest with you. I've never played it. That'd get my attention.
I mean, Bomberman's a cool game. It's a cool party game. Like, it's designed to be a party game.
Oh, okay. That makes sense for the 10 people then.
Yeah. I mean, it was doing the sort of like couch competitive game before that was a term.
Gotcha.
Right? Doing it before Mario Party existed. Like, so, I mean, it was kind of one of the original console party games, I think, for a lot of people. So they announced that. A Hamster, who has been doing the Arcade Archives games, they announced a few new of those, but like I think most interesting is they announced a new line of console archives, where they're going to be taking old console games, regardless of platform, and porting them over to everything today. So, for example, they launched this with Cool Borders from the original PlayStation and Ninja Gaiden 2 from the NES, which seems like the two most random games to launch this new lineup with. Those two are both apparently available now. Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of weird because why not just package all three of those Ninja Gaiden games together? Like, are you going to expect me to buy those each individually?
Well, the thing that is most exciting about this is the people that made Cool Borders years ago, probably at this point, I talked about a game called Rising Zan Samurai Gunman, which was a, action adventure combat game for the PlayStation. They made Rising Zan, and everything else they made was Cool Borders. They made like 6 Cool Borders games and Rising Zan. That is the company's discography. And so there's hope. There's hope for
Rising Zan?
For Rising Zan.
Okay.
Yeah, like that's interesting you say 6 Cool Borders games, because I was trying to think, like, how many Cool Border games actually came out?
What is Cool Borders? I've never played
It's a snowboarding game.
Okay, that makes sense.
It was like,
Was it good?
for its time.
The way you said that.
I mean, like 1080 snowboarding on the N64, I think, is a better game. And that was sort of like its contemporary. Okay. And then I think it was very much surpassed by the SSX games that came after it. So it's like a weird game to go back and play now, because I feel like it wasn't the best of its genre at the time, and it's been far surpassed since. So I don't know how you feel, Mario. Like,
Yeah, I'd say that's probably pretty accurate.
yeah, if you were going to go back and play a snowboarding game from the PlayStation N64 era, I would play 1080 snowboarding on the N64.
Yeah, I think in that one, the name is probably a little bit bigger as well in terms of like what people recognize. That and I mean, I think they're pretty different than the Snowboard Kids games, but
Sure.
in that same vein, I think people probably would go to those first as well.
Yeah.
I'm such a baby. When you say 1080, I keep thinking that you mean resolution and not like spin or something.
Right. So this was before 1080 was
Yeah.
noted
This is
as
pre-HD.
a resolution. But yeah, now if you called it 1080 snowboarding, people would be like, oh, why isn't it in 4K?
I'm a little disappointed. This is like a fourth of the pixels I was expecting.
4K snowboarding. That's the game I want. Yeah. So anyways, those are getting put out. Speaking of Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is coming to the Switch 2. That is June 3rd. They just put out Remake last year with the launch, right after the launch.
Yeah, fairly recent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're putting Rebirth onto the Switch 2 fairly quickly. Obviously, that third concluding part of the remake will likely come to Switch 2. If not at launch, then probably fairly close to launch, given that. And given the Switch's sort of dominance in Japan today, I feel like they really want that out as soon as possible.
Do you expect that PlayStation would let it go immediately, or that they'd like have a wait like they do for PC?
I don't think there's an exclusivity with
isn't?
PlayStation. Yeah.
I could swear there was a delay between
think
it
there was a
coming
del-
on PS4 than Steam.
I think there was a delay
Okay.
for the first one.
Okay.
I don't think
I
there
might
was
be
a
wrong.
delay for Rebirth, though.
Good to know. Thank you.
They
Sorry.
did have an exclusivity deal. Square has said that going forward, they plan to put their games out everywhere at launch. That has not been super successful for them. And so I don't know if that original deal still includes this third part or not.
Gotcha.
So, and I don't think anybody knows, like in the public at least.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that was just one of my first thoughts. So I'm like, I'd love for it to be there. I'm not a big Switch 2 person at this point. I don't love some of the consumer agreements they've had.
So this is good news. I mean, I think Alicia was maybe playing this like when she was maybe playing on the PlayStation 4 originally, but now she can play it on her Switch. Let's see. They announced 3 Bethesda games that are coming to Switch 2. Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition, which is not like an entire new version. Apparently, it's just Fallout 4 with all the DLC included. That is coming out this month, February 24th. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered, which came out last year everywhere else, is coming out to the Switch 2 sometime in 2026. And Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which is now a year and a half old, came out the end of 2024. That is coming to the Switch 2 on May 12th. I think the big thing with all 3 of those games is going to be the quality of the port. Those are 3 very good games. Like Indiana Jones was highly ranked in 2024 on my Game of the Year list. I think that's a really cool game, and I think it's really cool that it's coming to the Switch. I just don't know what the port of that will look like on the Switch 2, how it will run. They put out a new version of Skyrim last year on the Switch 2, and there have been a lot of complaints about how that game runs, and Skyrim should be able to run easy on a Switch 2.
Yeah, that's crazy. Did it not run fine on the Switch 1?
Well, I mean, it's not great on the Switch 1 graphically.
Okay.
I think is the issue.
How? It's from 2011.
Well, I
It's
mean,
15 years old.
yeah, I mean,
There are people playing that game younger than that game.
right. But I mean, you have to think about when the original Switch came out. The original Switch is 10 years old
Yeah.
at this point. So, and it was sort of underpowered hardware even at that point.
Yeah. I'd hope they'd have it fixed by Switch 2.
Well, I think that was everyone's expectation. And so that's what gives me a little bit of pause with these 3 games. All 3 of these games are fairly modern games. And, Fallout 4, when it came out on PlayStation 4, didn't run super well on that system. Bethesda's games, I feel like just kind of in general, like the Fallout games and the Elder Scrolls games are known for often on consoles having some difficulty, having frame rate issues and those sorts of things. So considering they are having problems with Skyrim on the Switch 2, I think it does give people some pause. So if you're interested in picking one of these up, I might wait a few weeks and see how like the general consensus is on how these ports are running. But 3 cool games to see, and obviously those are all Microsoft games since they own Bethesda now. So that is interesting to see Microsoft putting pretty heavy support onto the Switch too. This was not an announcement, but they did show off a new trailer for Turok Origins. It might as well have been a new announcement because I had completely forgotten this game was coming out. They set a release date for this year for that. You know, it's really weird in 2026 that they're making a new Turok game. As somebody who played like the original, Turok 2 particularly, played a whole lot of that in multiplayer with friends back in, I guess we were in college at the time. It's weird. It's weird that Turok is still a thing.
I feel so bad. I'm asking this about a bunch of games now.
No, that's fine. So Turok was a first-person shooter on the Nintendo 64.
Whoa.
I think they put out 3 or 4 games on the Nintendo 64.
4, I believe.
Because there's the one that's just completely
Turok Rage Wars.
4 games on the one console? I'm so sorry.
Completely multiplayer. Yeah, and so it is a game where you are. The original was called Turok Dinosaur Hunter. So, like, sort of the gimmick of the game was that you are battling dinosaurs, in large part.
Interesting. I remember it had come up with a friend of mine, and I was like, Turok, are we talking like him to Turok, like the magic card? And it was not that Turok.
Nope, different Turok.
Turok's based on a comic book originally, I believe.
Huh? Good to know.
So that's coming out. It looks neat. You can switch between first person and third person in it. I don't know. Like
some high-tech dinosaurs in there too.
Yes. It looks very much like they looked at Horizon and said, wait a second. What if we had cyber dinosaurs in here as well? Let's see. They showed off a trailer for Pragmata. That's the new Capcom game where you are you have a
babysitting or something like
yes. It is basically The Last of Us. You are escorting a little girl through the game. That is coming out to everything on April 24th, but they did show it off for Switch 2. I have heard very good things about the demo of that game. I have not played it. Looking at the game, it doesn't appeal to me. But everyone who's played that demo I've listened to says it plays really well. It's like a cool game. So I guess we'll see with that. They showed off a new trailer for The Adventures of Elliot. This is one of those HD 2D games that is coming out on Switch 2 on June 18th. And, I am not entirely tired of that HD 2D style for role-playing games.
It looks good.
Yeah, there's something still about that that's working for me. I know some people are getting a little tired of it. Speaking of dinosaurs, they showed off Tokyo Scramble. That is actually coming out today on Switch 2. Tokyo Scramble is a survival game where you are in the sewers, running from things that look like dinosaurs but aren't dinosaurs. Like it looks like raptors are chasing you throughout the entire game. It looks like somebody watched that scene in the kitchen from Jurassic Park and said, let's make that game. And they said, but let's not call them dinosaurs so that we have like some term we can trademark with this. It looks interesting at least. And like, that's the first I can remember seeing of that game. So it felt something new and different. And then lastly, they showed off a new trailer for Orbitals. Orbitals is coming out this summer. It is a new game that looks like it's very much aping Split Fiction.
Anime It Takes Two.
Yeah, anime It Takes Two. But very specifically 80s anime.
Ooh, okay, that has my attention though.
The entire reason I'm interested in that game is the look of it. That game looks amazing.
Yeah.
Like that is a game I'm watching going, hey, we're doing our best style next year. That game is almost certainly ending up on the list somewhere. Because it's not just that they're trying that, they're nailing that look. And like in a way that no other anime game I've seen has even really attempted.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only one that I could think of would be like I don't even remember what it's called. That Sandland game, which is by the developer of that franchise is the same as Akira Toriyama, who did Dragon Ball, and so
Sure,
thinking about that old school Dragon Ball style.
Yeah, but this is like,
I just pulled it up. It looks gorgeous. Have you looked it up?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so pretty.
yeah, this is even like dirtier looking than that, right? Because that feels more like 90s anime, and this feels like that. This feels like grungy, like 80s VHS copy of some anime that you're watching.
That's why I was like the original, like not Dragon Ball Z, but the original Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
That came out in the 80s. That's
Right, okay.
kind of the style that I'm thinking of.
yeah.
I am surprised, Justin, that you didn't bring up the Xanadu game that got shown as well. That they're continuing the Xanadu legacy.
Yeah. Well, I just don't know who is excited for
I'm
that.
just saying. I have the Tokyo Xanadu game, but I haven't played it yet.
Mario, are you excited for Xanadu 2?
I think it's cool that they made a new one.
Well, Mario, would you like to talk about the new Xanadu game?
It's called Kyoto Xanadu. That's all I got. The other one, all right, I will say, but a serious one that isn't on this list. They're making a sequel to Paranormasight.
Right.
The original one, I have also not played it, but I've got a friend who really loves that game, and I think this is the first time they announced the sequel, and it comes out like next week. So
Oh, wow. So
that is probably the one that I was most excited for from all of these that got announced.
quick check, Orbitals. Is that going to be on Switch exclusively?
It is actually
okay.
like an exclusive. I imagine that's got to be a timed exclusive.
Yeah.
Like,
It's not a Nintendo game, so I imagine they'll try to bring it elsewhere.
right. I don't
I
think
hope
Nintendo is publishing that themselves. So my guess is that's the sort of game that launches exclusively, and then by Christmas it may be other places.
I'd certainly love to see that because it looks like a really pretty game.
Yeah, like I just can't imagine Nintendo not, or the developers of that game trying not to just put it out everywhere.
Yeah.
But I think it's a smaller developer. I don't know if quite indie, but certainly a smaller developer. And I think a lot of times they try to prioritize a platform, at launch just to get it out the door and everything. Though usually Steam is included with that, but not in this case, apparently. So that was the Nintendo Direct. Let's see. Valve has claimed that the majority of games, those are their words, not mine, are currently playing at 4K with 60 frames per second on the Steam machine. This is probably fairly misleading because when they say majority of games, you have to think about everything that's on Steam. So, like, this is Vampire Survivors is running at 4K 60. This is Half-Life 2 is running at 4K 60. So they're talking about everything that's on there. This is not talking about necessarily, like, the biggest, newest releases on Steam, where it seems fairly unlikely that those games will run at 4K 60 on a Steam machine. So, just keep that in mind. If you have interest in a Steam machine, and if you do, you're probably going to have to wait and pay quite a bit more because they have also announced that they are delaying the release of the Steam machine, which also meant they are delaying the announcement of the price. They attributed this to the shortage in RAM currently going on, which if you have went online and looked at RAM prices lately for your computer, you have seen that they have skyrocketed. So when this was announced, this was announced like 10 minutes before we went in and recorded the podcast 1 week.
Yeah.
And we speculated in that episode, maybe it'll be $500 because that puts it into a prime competition point against the Switch 2 and the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. And then in the week that followed, it became much clearer that no, they were not aiming for that sort of price point. So people, I think, generally had come to a consensus, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $700 to $800 for the Steam machine. Now, as they're like kind of hinting, hey, prices are probably going to be more than we originally envisioned. Now the question is, okay, well, what does that mean? If that means we're going north of $700 to $800, which they have been fairly clear, $500 is not at all likely. Then you start going up to $900 for this Steam machine when it releases.
I have the big fear it's going to be like $1,000 plus.
Well, I don't think $1,000. I think $999 feels more and more likely the price. Like, I would not be shocked by that. I think going over 1,000, they would probably try very hard not to do. But that $999 price, I can completely believe it would be that.
I could see it being $999. I don't want it to be that much.
Well, I mean, the thing we talked about, right, is where is the market for it at $999? Like we talked about originally when we thought it might be $500. Like that all of a sudden becomes the thing that, you have your gaming PC maybe in a back bedroom or office. The $500 Steam box is the thing you put under the TV so that, the kids can play it, or that, when you have company over, you can like pull up one of the party games and play with them. But if it starts being $900, $1,000, then that's no longer a consoleized version of your PC. That becomes your gaming PC, I feel like, at that price.
Is it supposed to have PC capabilities, or is it just supposed to be a Steam machine? Do we know?
I mean, it is set up just to be a Steam machine, but like a Steam Deck, you can run other software on it.
Is it going to be on Linux as well?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I mean, from everything we know, it will run just like a Steam Deck does.
Okay.
So it'll boot into, the Steam OS and big picture mode. I don't know. Like when we were originally talking about it, I was really excited because at $500, I don't know if I would, but I could see myself being tempted into, okay, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to put it under the TV. That's my only console now under the TV. All my other consoles go into a back room or something. Except maybe the Switch for, obvious reasons, for Mario Kart and the exclusives on there. But like I can completely see that. But at $900 to $1,000, like, that's most of the way to what I paid for my gaming PC.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden I'm like, that's not something to splurge on. That's something as a major investment. And I don't know what the market is for that.
It certainly cuts out anybody buying one casually, right?
Most certainly.
Because that's what we've talked about so much of the family of like, oh, you know what? Maybe we get this, or this is you've got 2 kids. This is the big family, holiday gift or whatever. Now it's like, no, there's
not happening.
You're a hardcore video game player if you're buying a Steam machine at that price. And
that's a shame. I want it to be more accessible to more people.
Well, I think that's part of the success of the Steam Deck, right? At $400, the Steam Deck was the sort of thing, I feel like a lot of people who weren't into PC gaming picked one up because it is a portable system and they could dip their toes into Steam for the first time, and they had heard, you can get games really cheap on Steam, and also that there's all this world of games, right, that never come to consoles that are exclusive on Steam. And I would think that would be part of the appeal of this, but like at over 2.5 times the price of a Steam Deck. And I know there's different, levels of the Steam Deck, but like if we're talking $1,000, right, that's a 250% price of the Steam Deck, which is a lot harder to swallow for most people. It's not going to be that impulse purchase. It's not going to be that thing, let's give this, let's buy this on a whim. Because, almost at some point, unless you're going to put this under a television, my sort of reaction to it is I would tell most people, like, just buy a full gaming PC. Like, you can get a decent full gaming PC for $1,000, $1,200. Like, so if you're only spending a couple $100 more, like, you know, most people, like, just wait a couple more months and buy the $1,200 PC at that point.
The only way I see $1,000 or approaching $1,000 Steam machine being even remotely successful is if everything else jumps up to make it reasonable.
Sure.
And even then, I don't see it being very successful.
Well, and we've already seen that, right? PlayStation 5 and Xbox have both risen in price, and, you know, it seems inevitable that the Switch 2 will see a price bump this year sometime. So, yeah, I mean, that's not crazy. But, you know, even then, like, you can still, at Christmas, you were still finding PlayStation 5s for like $400.
Mm-hmm.
And like the difference between 400 and 1,000 for most people is significant.
Oh yeah,
right. You know, even as somebody who's big into video games, even somebody whose job is related to video games, I look at $1,000 and go, "That's hard to swallow."
yeah.
Let's see. There was backlash this past week over the an Overwatch character's redesign. The character Onrun, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I did hear one of the developers pronounce it. So apparently they had released a video last year sort of introducing this character. She is the older sister of another character. I do not know my Overwatch lore, so please forgive me. But she is apparently the older sister of a character. And when they released the new character design, they announced new characters for Overwatch. They have apparently de-aged her considerably and made the character design for her look significantly younger. And there has been a very vocal backlash among Overwatch fans complaining about this redesign. The voice actress, Faria, who is also a streamer online. So she is the voice actress for Onron. And she also streams online. She put out a statement about it. She said there was an unspoken promise that said, "We're going to challenge the beauty standards plaguing and ransacking media these days. The Ozempic chic, the contour your nose, you have no nose, the tiniest nose," which is very funny to me. And I think because of that precedent, people felt understandably let down, which I think is an interesting statement to come from the voice actress of the character, right? Of, hey, I am embodying this character, and I understand why the players feel betrayed by this redesign. Blizzard has heard the backlash, and they said they are going to work on yet another redesign of her character after that feedback to them. So, yay for listening to your customers, but boo for this redesign in the first place. Mm-hmm. Particularly because it's a game like Overwatch where you already have multiple female characters that are there, maybe not solely for the purpose, but you already have characters there to provide eye candy, right? So you're making a new character, you introduce that new character that they're not solely there as eye candy, and to then strip that away, I understand why players would feel betrayed by that, I guess.
I get the vibe that hero shooters are like more and more about eye candy characters in ways that make me feel uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, well, because I think the monetization, right? They are no longer...
Oh, it's because you can sell a skin where somebody has half their ass cheek hanging out.
Right, and I think when you're not monetizing by selling the characters directly anymore, like they're just giving you all the characters, you are monetizing by, as you said, like skins, costumes, that sort of thing. And so how do you entice people to buy skins for this character? You make this character sexy, and you make each new skin, each new costume progressively more sexy, more revealing, right? I mean,
Arms race.
yeah, it's an arms race to the bottom.
Arms race to Goonerdom. I'm so sorry.
But like I said, I mean, like, good on Blizzard for listening to this. I mean, it's weird to say good on you for listening after you like did this. Like it feels like your dog that like pooped on the carpet or something, and you're like, well, good for you, boy. You didn't like then drag your butt across the carpet afterwards, but like you still made a huge mess here.
Perhaps good on the people who held them to the fire and made sure that their promises actually got or may get taken to fruition.
Yeah, I think good on this voice actress.
Yeah.
I think,
Agreed.
you know, she is in a position where this is her livelihood, and like to challenge the people signing her paycheck. I don't think a lot of people in that position might do the same.
Yeah.
Like, good for her. It's
How you
also
gonna afford the new Steam Deck if you don't play ball?
Let's see. Some news out of Sony. So first of all, there is supposed to be a state of play tomorrow. That is going to be at least an hour of both first party and third party announcements for PlayStation. We'll talk more about that here in a second. But as part of that, one of the early leaks has been that Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls, which we have known a lot about, that some of the details that will be revealed as part of that state of play is that there will be 20 characters at launch. They've revealed some of those characters, but obviously not all 20, and that there will be a single-player mode in that game, which is very appealing to people like me who don't want to go online and play fighting games because I will just get killed over and over again in the most brutal ways because I'm not good enough at fighting games. So that game becomes much more appealing to me if there's some sort of like robust single-player mode. I'm not sure how robust it is, but like at least it exists.
I long for fighting games to have single player modes again more regularly. I enjoy them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's part of the reason that the Mortal Kombat games continue to sell so well.
Yeah.
They do have a fairly robust single player mode to them. And, you know, other people I think are taking that more seriously. Street Fighter 6 has a pretty robust, you know, single player mode to it.
Maybe I'm thinking more anime video games, if I'm honest.
Right, yeah.
Like anime fighting games. I played a lot of like Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that and like, you know, the Dragon Ball Z fighting games, like there's already so
Budokai
much.
Tenkaichi or whatever.
Yeah,
I loved those.
There's already so much of like a story there
Yeah.
that maybe it's easier to craft than with some of these other ones. But it is nice that they're considering that a single player mode is desired.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so they are doing the state of play. That news about Marvel Tokon came out of that. Supposedly that will be shown and talked about. That's not shocking that it'll be shown as part of it, but those details. As far as the state of play, you know, I think it's interesting to think about what will be part of that. There are rumors that Marvel's Wolverine game, which is from the developers of the Spider-Man games, that will be getting a separate direct solely for that game sometime later this year.
Is that Insomniac or somebody else?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is them. So we will probably get something about that game because that's going to be their big fall release at this show, but it's probably not going to be a full blowout because they're going to do something later. There is that rumored, I think it's basically been confirmed within the industry that they are doing a God of War 2D Metroidvania and have been working on
Okay,
that.
Mario, you too had a reaction to that.
All right, I hadn't heard anything about that.
That is,
I feel like we've talked about that on this podcast.
I don't remember.
Maybe
it,
not.
if we did. It could have been an episode I wasn't here, but
Sure.
a 2D Metroidvania for picking up where we are in the story or somewhere else?
So the rumor has been, my understanding, that it would be set in Egypt.
Oh, okay, that would be so cool. Though. Like I have been hankering for the Egypt travel on that one, if I'm honest.
Which, if you start thinking about, okay, like set this in a pyramid, right? Or set this in the subterranean below the pyramids and like have that makes a lot of sense for a Metroidvania.
Yeah, okay, that would be really cool.
So, like, you know, what I have heard is that part is not confirmed, but the part that is confirmed is that they are making this game. Like, this game was heavily rumored to be revealed last fall. It was never revealed. So I think the people that I've heard talk about it seem pretty confident this is a game that they are making. Whether maybe it ends up being a game they scrap at the last minute. Maybe it's like Ubisoft with the Prince of Persia remake. Oh, God. Maybe it's just not working. But like, you know, that seems like something that they would reveal at this, because that seems like a game, from all reports, is a game that will come out this year sometime.
That'd be nice. Mario, how do you feel about that? I know that you like God of War 2.
It's definitely interesting. Yeah, it's hard to just sort of like wrap your head around it, but I wonder if it's like that, if it means it would play more similarly to the older games, or if
do you think we'd keep the new voice actor for Kratos?
I assume so.
I really hope so. I'd be like so sad if we lost him.
Christopher Judge.
He's so good.
Yeah, I guess I just think, and what I mean by that is if it would just go back to being more of a hack and slash style, or if it's going to be one of those like Hollow Knight, you know, you got to be super in-depth combat system like the newer games have been, where it's a slower pace to the combat, more patient, more tactical.
I'm interested. I think it has potential. I'm excited to see where this goes.
I mean, it's God of War. People will buy it if it's real, if it's coming out this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting way to expand that franchise, right? Without like doing something goofy, making a live service God of War game, which they're rumored to be working on at one point. I think that makes a whole lot more sense of, like they did with Prince of Persia, making a Metroidvania, right? Let's take this beloved franchise. Let's give people a different way to play it with a sort of tried and true formula. And, you know,
it's how many genres can we turn God of War into? They already did the roguelike with the DLC for, you know, the Valhalla DLC. So now it's Metroidvania.
Well, I mean, I think the issue is, right, like, the big thing is, well, what do they even do next with God of War?
God of War in America, Kratos with guns. I'm sorry, I had to.
But, like, I mean, what do you even do with a new God of War at this point? Like, do you return back to the original games? Probably not. You can't make another Norse mythology game because that feels very played out. So
they did foreshadow the Triskelion, I think, as well. There was the Eye of Horus, the Triskelion, the Sparta symbol, and the Norse one in the first game, I think. The first of the new ones.
Sure, but I think even, like, just not story-wise, but even gameplay. Like, those two games are very good, the two Norse games.
They're phenomenal.
But, like, even that gameplay, by the end of the second game, feels like it feels done. Like, you need to innovate in some way.
Yeah, it's one of those things that and there's just, like, even if they are at, like, the pinnacle of that style of game, right? I think that's always kind of been the joke about the PlayStation game. It's over-the-shoulder, third-person action game. And it's just like, okay, are we just going to continue? Like, is it if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Or are we going to continue to move forward? And so I do think it's exciting that they're at least trying something new. You know, even if this is you know, they had the other sort of spin-off games, the PSP and PS Vita games. And so even if this is something like that, like, we're not going all the way down this path, but this is a little taste of something, you know, to see how it goes, that they probably don't have to invest a ton of resources into. Because I could even see if it's 2D, I'm thinking of the art style. You might not even have voice acting.
That's what I was worried about us not having Judge.
Yeah.
Like that's because especially you were saying like maybe this is a lower budget, lower investment. That's kind of the vibe I would get from a Metroidvania, especially from how intricate the graphics were in the last two.
Right. And I don't know. I just think like a Metroidvania, it would, to me, that feels like it would require a ton of voice acting. Just like, and you start thinking about all of the different paths and routes and stuff like that. I mean, like, obviously, like Hades has it, so it's not impossible to have it. But that to me also seems like the easiest place to save money, right? If you're trying to make a lower budget game.
You can also just limit the voice acting to like boss
Major
encounters,
cutscenes or something like that.
right?
Sure.
Like,
Yeah, you could do just like intro lines and not the whole dialogue, right? That's the thing that I think a lot of games do. Just like you get a grunt or a noise,
Sure.
and then they text out what they want to say to you.
that's pretty easy with Kratos. Like, Kratos isn't a super chatty character in the original games anyway. Like, he gets a little bit more chatty in the new games because of Atreyu being with you.
Yeah, it will it would definitely be interesting to see how they choose to go about the design for it.
Also, I don't know about you guys, but I'm like at this point the only reason why I really care about God of War is I think the story was so good. I want to see where they go from there. I like the gameplay was great, but like if you're changing up the gameplay, then why am I coming back? I'm coming back for story.
Sure, yeah, right. And I think that's why those games are so praised for where their story went with the Norse era as well. And so, if this is, I think my only thing is, I think it would be an odd decision to start introduce a brand new pantheon or like mythology in
A side game.
if we think of this as like a side game. That's not to say they couldn't do it, but it does seem like an odd decision.
I will say that part is rumored,
Sure.
right? It may not be Egypt. It may be, they may go back to the Greek setting for this.
Do you guys want that?
I'd be okay with that. I'd be very okay with it.
Okay with what? Like
If they
Going
were,
back to Greek.
if they did like a return to the Greek setting, yeah.
I'd be interested in it if we follow up on the things that have been seeded in the Norse games. But if it's just going back to the Greek to go back to the Greek, I'm less interested.
Yeah, well, I guess it's one of those things that I would be interested in it.
All the Greek gods are dead, so I don't know who he'd be fighting.
Well, that's why I'd rather it be like a prequel to the Norse games.
I would struggle to go back to a younger Kratos at this point, though. Like, I don't know about you, but for me, especially as like a trans woman growing up, those games were almost like something that were whispered about to stay away from. Is like, oh, those are like kind of not the thing, right?
Yeah,
they
I
were
think
very masculine coded, shall we say?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very fair.
Yeah.
Right. That was a big part. There's they made the documentary about the 2018 remake, and like that was a big thing that Cory Barlog talks about is like we wanted to give Kratos a second chance, and so we made him in this new way. And so,
like that is why I'm like such a fan of the newer games.
Yeah. So I don't, like I said, I don't know what they do. I think I'd be interested to see them go back to Greece for the way that the Valhalla DLC ends and like him confronting his younger self.
That would be very interesting to me as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
I could see there being some time shenanigans too. Definitely set it up.
Yeah. It just becomes Sands of Time.
This is the Ubisoft game.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm interested in this game. Like, I think probably the level of my interest will vary greatly depending on the setting and story and all that, like how excited I am. But I think Kratos in a Metroidvania makes a whole lot of sense as a character.
That's also the assumption that it's not an Atreus game, right?
Yeah, okay,
Sure.
but I do want an Atreus game.
Yeah,
like I've been jonesing for that Atreus game since God of War 2 ended.
And I mean, I think that's certainly a bigger risk. I don't know if it sells as well as a Kratos game does, but they kind of do hint at Atreus going his own way, right at the end of Ragnarok.
I'd love to see at some point a game that's like where like the first one we got like 80% Kratos, 20% Atreus. I'd like to see that flipped, right?
And in the trailer, they can play. You can go your own way. So I just bring that game up because that seems like one that I would be shocked if that game is not shown here. I think that game doesn't exist, or it's been canceled. Maybe it never existed. Maybe it got canceled. I'd be really interested because I've seen that, like, people just very much talking openly about it, which is, oftentimes games like that, it'll be, this game is rumored to be in development. And it seems like people are fairly confident they know that game is in development. Other than that, there's not, there is that new game from Housemarque.
Oh, yeah.
What is that? Begins with an S. Soros? Is it Soros or something?
Saros or something like that. Yeah.
We've seen a lot of that game. I think at this point, I just want to play that game. I don't know if there's anything more they could show me to sell me on it. I'm trying to think what else would be potentially shown off for PlayStation.
It's like Phantom Blade or some Phantom Blade Zero or something like that. It's like a ninja sort of game, samurai. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that comes out this year as well. So.
Yeah.
They might announce the new Ghost DLC or something.
Oh, maybe.
Sure. Yeah, I can
Ghost
see
of
that.
Yoti, I think is the new one. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they said that game is like outselling the original at this point.
That's impressive.
I saw a story about that.
DLC for that. I could very much see them like at least teasing it. That may be something that's still a little ways off from release, but like saying, hey, come August, we'll be putting this DLC out. That's a way to, I think, drum up excitement for that. And particularly, that game will at some point come to PC.
Yeah.
So, you could see that game releasing on PC around the time a DLC is coming out as well to like really build up excitement and chatter online about it. I think that's something we could see.
How long has Yotei been out at this point? 6 months?
It came out in October.
Okay, I'm not that far off. I feel that makes me feel better. I was like, am I off?
It is the second half of last year.
Yeah.
I guess I can
makes
say
sense.
that.
It was fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I was trying to think of anything else. I feel like they have already announced some new enhancements for Gran Turismo, so they might show off some more of that, but nothing like new or revolutionary there. I'm always excited for Sony to dig into some of their back catalog. I think that would be really cool to see them do something.
When was the last time they did anything with Uncharted that wasn't a movie?
They did that port to PC where they did what they call it, the Thieves Collection, and it's part 4, and that standalone DLC that they put out. I guess it's not DLC; it became like a full game, focused on the two female characters from 4. So they put that out. I mean, there's been rumors of them doing a remake of the original, of doing some sort of remake of Uncharted 1.
I mean, it's been about enough time, but it still looks pretty good, right?
Yeah, but the problem with Uncharted 1 is it does not play the same as 2 and 3 and 4, right? Okay. Like, you go back and try to play Uncharted 1 now, and that game is not as refined as those games became.
Okay.
Like, it doesn't have the big set pieces in the same way, right? Like that 2 became famous
more movie
for
over the years. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I could see them going back and trying to do a remake of that game to bring it more into line with the later games in that series.
I'd be down for that.
Plus, like, we haven't seen an Uncharted, right, for
Long
a PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Like, so that would be cool to see. Yeah, I mean, they're supposedly working on a Last of Us 3. I don't feel like we'd see that here.
Do you guys feel like that's needed at this point?
No.
I feel the same. Story's good. It's done. We can be done with it. It doesn't need another just because it makes money, even though that is what defines how things get made.
Yeah, I think that's the issue.
Yeah, I know.
Those,
Makes me sad.
those games and that TV show have been very popular, so, you know, like, I think they want to go to that well at least one more time.
I'm sure that they want to. Will people follow?
Yeah, I mean, it would make a bajillion dollars probably.
Yeah, so, I mean, we'll find out. By the time people are listening to this podcast, that will be just, you know, less than 24 hours away when that event happens. So,
New Ape Escape. You know, they confirmed that they remember it existed with Astrobot, so who says no?
hey, look, when I talk about old games, them bringing back and me being excited, a new Ape Escape would excite me a great deal.
So that one top the list?
No, I don't know if it would top it, but it would be pretty high on that list. I was one of, on this podcast, I popped really big when I got to that level, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they included an Ape Escape level in Astrobot. So, the whole idea that they could do that, to me, that's what Sony should be doing. Like, those sorts of games, right? Like, that's not a $200 million game.
Yeah.
You don't spend Spider-Man 2 money on making a new Ape Escape. You can make that a much smaller game and put it out sort of like Astrobot.
Yeah. I'd say Sly Cooper, but there's no way we get a new Sly Cooper with Ghost of Yote just coming out.
Yeah, I mean, I
guess there could be different teams, but I don't know how big of a studio Sucker Punch is.
I think Sly Cooper, if we get a Sly Cooper thing, it's going to be either a remake or a collection
Sure.
of those games.
That makes sense.
I think the last collection was maybe on the PlayStation 3.
I feel like there was one on PlayStation 4.
Was it 4?
I think it was
Okay.
PlayStation 4.
I vaguely remember something coming out for 4. I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
There was some Sly Cooper thing on PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
I guess I can say that confidently.
Again, we need Alicia here. She would have the answer for that. But yeah, like, I mean, something like that, like, I mean, even a remake or a collection, right? That would be pretty exciting.
I'm trying to think of like those franchises. I know we got Ratchet and Clank on the PlayStation 5 because that was like the first game that came out for
Right.
it.
Yeah,
I
the
think-
one with the portals or whatever.
Yeah. I think there was a little bit.
I don't think we get another one of those because Insomniac's too busy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't see that happening for a long time at this point.
I think,
it sell well?
Yeah, I think so. I think that sold fairly well for them.
I think we got a Little Big Planet on PlayStation 5 as well. Or like the Sackboy.
We got the Sackboy Adventure game. Yeah.
That makes sense.
I think is Jack and Daxter is a PlayStation property as well. I don't know who makes those games though.
I remember playing it on PSP.
Jack and Daxter is Naughty Dog.
Oh,
okay.
God, you're right. It totally is.
I mean, that would be pretty cool too.
That would be cute.
That was their transition piece from Crash Bandicoot to making the Uncharted games. They have hinted in the past, like, hey, like, we have not completely forgotten these games. I think the biggest problem with Jack and Daxter is, like, Naughty Dog is too busy making other things. They're still making that intergalactic game that's not based on the Beastie Boys song.
Okay.
I do love that as an intro for something.
I mean, it's that I mean, I don't know exactly what that game is. You're in a spaceship flying around, and what they've shown so far of it, they announced that game. So, and that game seems like it's still at least a year off from release. I don't think that comes out this year.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like Naughty Dog potentially has like 5 different projects
Right.
going right now. So,
That's why if they are doing an Uncharted remake, I feel like that's probably farmed out to someone else. Like, they're probably
Sure.
not doing that internally.
Mm.
Yeah, like,
to Blue Point. Blue Point did like the Shadow of the Colossus remake and the Yakuza ones, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they did that Demon Souls remake as well.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those games you could imagine getting PC release announcements. So I think Ghosts of Yote, like we could see an announcement for that releasing on PC.
Yeah, I'd be pretty surprised if that was not announced.
Demon Souls is always an issue because of the ties with From Software, but like maybe that gets a announcement for PC release since they've already done the work on PlayStation 5.
I know plenty of people still dying for Bloodborne to be on anything other than PS4.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
I don't see it happen either, but I know people that want it.
People would lose their minds if that got announced. A sort of like remaster remake of that. I don't know what the politics of that are because Sony and From own that collectively together. And it doesn't seem like From is super excited about a port of that. They seem to be the hang-up more so than Sony.
That's interesting to me.
I think they want to have control over it.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think the issue is that they're too busy because they're making all sorts of different things right now.
Yeah.
Like they're making that Duskbloods game for Switch. They're obviously working on Elden Ring 2. They've, basically said that. They're doing that Elden Ring port to Switch, which was supposed to come out last year and it's been delayed.
That's going to be a chunky game to try and run. If it's struggling to run Skyrim, I don't know how it's going to do Elden Ring.
Well, that's apparently why it's been delayed.
I know.
It was not running well on Switch. So
yeah, that's a tall order.
I think From seems to be the rumors are that From is the problem.
That makes sense.
With anything being done there with Bloodborne. So that's always weird when you hear something like, oh, this company's the problem. And you're like, that would print money for you. Why would you get in the way of that? Let Blue Point or somebody take over that. And I don't know. There's probably more interesting stuff to that story than we know.
Yeah.
One last important detail from Sony. So this was just announced that Jason Momoa has been cast in the Helldivers film, which I just think is the funniest thing because like Jason Momoa seems like the go-to guy now. You just cast him in anything and everything.
He's the new Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Well, he is. Yeah.
Mario, your face.
I mean, he was in the Minecraft movie. He's in the Supergirl movie. Like, all credit to him. He looks amazing in that Supergirl trailer. If you haven't seen it,
I think they've been wanting to do what they're going to be doing with him in the Supergirl movie for a long time.
Yeah.
Who's it? Lobo that he's going to be playing? Yeah.
I mean, he just already looks like Lobo.
He really does. He's a dead ringer for Lobo, and it's really cool.
So I assume Alicia lost her mind when she saw that trailer. I've not spoken with her about it.
Is she a big Lobo fan or a big Momoa fan?
DC.
That makes sense. I have one thought about this, and it is, why would you watch this? Just watch Starship Troopers again.
I don't know why you'd make out. Not every video game needs to be turned into a movie.
Also that, but like Starship Troopers is so good. Like
obviously,
the movie already exists.
Minecraft
the movie you want already exists. It's right there, and I don't know. Paul or Peter Verhoeven made it for us years ago, and it's very good. Paul. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I can never remember. I always think it's Peter, but it's Paul.
You got it. You excluded Mary.
Yeah, but is as far as I care, it's the perfect Helldivers game. Why would you want something else?
Well, I mean, Helldivers obviously
movie, not game.
Cribbed heavily from Starship Troopers.
Yeah, that's my point. It's like, why are you making a new movie? It already exists.
I mean, yeah, I think the interesting thing about that movie would be, does that movie include the satirical elements of the game?
Have you seen it?
Well, no, the Helldivers movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, I'm pretty sure that Starship Troopers is all satirical.
Oh.
We've
talked about
it many times.
The number of people who do not get that
He's
film.
tragic. It breaks my goddamn heart.
The number of times I've had conversations with people who told me that movie's really stupid. At the end, when he says they're scared, that's so goofy, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Neil Patrick Harris is the villain. You do understand that, right?
Yeah. He's only wearing an SS coat, buddy.
I mean, look, Barney, like he divorced and he went in a very dark direction. We're all quite sad.
Yeah.
You saw How I Met Your Mother. This is how Barney became an SS officer. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Like, do we need this movie? I also kind of wonder, like, is Helldivers was a very successful game, Helldivers 2 specifically. Mm-hmm. Does it have the brand recognition to drive people to the theater to see a Helldivers film? Now, I say this as, like, Iron Lung is blowing up movie theaters right now. So, you know, a game I had never even heard of.
Have you guys talked about Iron Lung yet?
That's Markiplier more than Iron Lung, though.
Sure.
I mean, I actually went for the lore. Because I have played I was much more interested in the lore of the game than Markiplier. Markiplier's a familiar face. That's nice and all.
Did you go see the movie?
I did. I went to go see it in theaters opening weekend.
What do you think?
Look, it's certainly something of an indie movie, right? I can see that there are some flaws there, but I like messy film. I'm in a Sex and Scandal class right now, and I absolutely adore messy film that has those rougher edges that
sure
would have been sanded away by a bigger studio, right? Was the movie perfect? No. Was it entertaining? Yes. Am I happy I spent the money on the ticket? Yeah. Is that enough? Yeah, most certainly.
All right.
I like getting to see like some of the nastier edges of film as it's being made.
Yeah.
I think that's very cool.
Yeah, I just wonder, like, is there an audience really, or a big enough audience for a Helldivers film? Does that draw people into the theater in the same way that, you know, Mario or Sonic or Minecraft do? Like, we understand they have that broad appeal enough to bring in a huge audience.
The movie would have to be rated R, right? That's inherently going to cut away a lot of your audience potentially. And like,
I'm also just, I don't know. I guess it depends on who Jason Momoa is playing as well. But I mean, like, the whole thing is that these are just like meant to be fodder.
Yeah, the only reason why Jason Momoa would be interesting is if he's a clone and we see 27 of him die before he does anything interesting.
So yeah, I mean, like, if he's playing the like commander guy, maybe like, okay, maybe. Fine. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think this movie.
But I'd almost rather the commander guy be like a wimpy little nerd to make a point.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I feel like having it be a big strong man is almost giving into something.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see. The fact that they're to the casting stage seems like this is something that's actually going to get made. But we'll see. Some films have fallen apart, certainly at this stage already.
Did y'all like Helldivers too?
Yeah.
The game, yeah.
I liked it. It got a little too real for me with the world as it was, and I had to stop.
That's fair.
Yeah, it was getting to me.
Let's see. Riot Games has laid off roughly 80 people working on 2XKO, their fighting game. This comes after a disappointing launch. One of those people laid off was Patrick Miller. He claims he was given 30 minutes notice about the layoff. This is after he has spent the last 10 years working on the game in some form or another. So if you remember, 2XKO started off as like an indie fighting game before Riot brought the studio in and got them, I forgot what it was called, something like Robots Fighting originally. And then they sort of took that basic game engine and developed it into 2XKO. And apparently Riot just went in and laid a bunch of these people off. They say they're going to continue development on it and continue updates. But there's been obviously a very sort of nasty reaction online with people being like, what the hell are you doing? This game had barely launched. You've barely given it any time.
Do we know how many people were on the team? What percent of the team is 80 people? That's so many.
I am not sure. They did not officially put out the number 80. This is a number that has come out from the development team. People talking about it.
I'm curious what percent of the staff they have left after that. That's a lot of people.
It is, especially for a fighting game.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is not a game that probably had 1,000 people working on it like a Call of Duty might across different studios.
Also, if it took them 10 years, I assume that they're not the hugest team on the planet.
Well, they restarted development because they were originally making an indie fighting game and then got brought in by Riot to use.
How long were they under Riot for? Do we know?
Legends characters.
Yeah. I'm not sure. During the time we've been doing this podcast, because we talked about it on this podcast when they bought them out.
Interesting.
So
4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, within the last 4 years.
Thank
You are better at knowing how long I've been doing this podcast.
It's basically slightly longer than I've been here. So
Yeah, that's accurate. I guess you have a better measuring stick.
yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. So again, our sympathies go out to those laid off. Obviously, it's not a good. Now, Riot did say they would try to place as many of those people as possible on other development teams. So maybe moving some of them over to League of Legends and other projects that they're working on. But obviously, it sucks. And particularly if you came on board to work on a fighting game to get moved to something else. It sounds like Miller particularly, that's his passion project. So let's see. Michelle Ansel, the creator of Rayman, claims that a, quote, kind of remake is planned for the original Rayman game that will feature HD graphics and additional checkpoints to make it easier. This is pretty cool to me. That original Rayman game is a 2D platformer that came out. What did Rayman originally launch on? It eventually came to PlayStation, but maybe that game, it came on Jaguar. I can't remember what system. 3DO maybe it originally launched on? I can't remember at this point.
I'm trying to look it up for you really quickly.
But, they are, he's saying that they're going to do some form of a remake. I don't think he's involved. He left Ubisoft. He's not working for them anymore. Ubisoft doesn't have the best history lately with that. Let's see. Initially released for PlayStation, Jaguar, and Sega Saturn in 1995. Yeah, I feel like it came out on something earlier, so maybe it released on Jaguar.
That's the Google AI, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
It might not be right.
Maybe it came out on Jaguar and then came to PlayStation and Saturn a few months
it says
after
Atari
that.
Jaguar on the Wikipedia, so
Okay.
that's my bad. I'm sorry.
No, I could not remember, so thank you for checking it. But yeah, this sounds like an interesting way to do that. Do an HD graphics update. He said that original game is incredibly challenging. He is right. So adding additional checkpoints into the game makes a whole lot of sense as a way to make it easier for people to get through that game. That game still it has a great deal of appeal to me because it looks unlike any other platformer really from that era. It's really bright, colorful graphics. So that'll be cool if that actually does come to fruition. But again, with Ubisoft, who knows what is going on? That might have been one of the games that got canceled by them, and Michelle Ansel being on the outside maybe doesn't know anymore. Let's see. Epic's Game Store boss says that they plan to be on the next Xbox on day one. So this seems to be kind of backing up the rumor that the next Xbox would be a more open platform that would have the Xbox Store on it, but that would also have potentially the Epic's Game Store and Steam, so that it would basically just be a PC and you could install these other storefronts on it as well and run your games. This seems to be the first public confirmation. This doesn't mean that necessarily they know that is happening. It may just be they've heard the same rumors and are like, yes, we would want to be there day one to sell you Fortnite stuff and like collect all the money for ourselves and not give Microsoft a cut at all.
Yeah, I read this completely differently. I thought that it meant that they were going to have games on it day one, not the Epic Store day one.
No, the store itself.
That's a change to the gaming industry for sure. I think it's the right change. I like it.
Yeah, the thing that's particularly interesting, I think, with Epic is that, Epic gives away free games every week. So if you've been collecting those games since they launched it, which I have, I think I have like 300 plus games in my account. I've never paid for one of them on the Epic Games Store.
Same.
So, if this is a thing where my next box, which I don't know why I would buy it, that's the big question, but like my next box, if the day I buy it, I can just install that platform or that storefront and have those 300 games in addition to my back catalog of Xbox games. There's something appealing to a lot of people with that, I think. I just think, like, again, right, we come back to this point of, well, why not just buy a gaming PC at that point? Like, if that's what you're doing, like, what is going to be the sales pitch of the Xbox? What differentiates it enough? Is it going to be the simplicity? Are they going to streamline it?
Will it be able to be simple with multiple platforms on there? That's like one of my questions. Because I've always seen consoles as like, they sell as simplicity, is like the plug and play of it, right?
Right.
You don't need to worry about, do I have the right drivers? But like, when we have multiple stores on there, are we going to have to worry about the right drivers?
That's for Microsoft to figure out, I think. But I mean, I think that they can.
It would be a very compelling option if that were the case.
You just make, like a fairly simple UI that you can say, I want to be in this storefront, I want to be in this storefront, I want to be in this storefront. But
I hope they can, because I think that'd be a good movement. Like, I like PC gaming, but I also liked console. I just hate paying for the like monthly or the yearly subscriptions of console. It kills me.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, and we've talked about that on here. Like, at that point, when you release something of that format, does Xbox Live continue to exist in anything related to its current format? Like, you can't charge people to play games online if the Steam storefront is not going to charge them, right? Because then why does anybody buy it through the Xbox storefront if you have to pay to play it online and Steam is not going to charge you to play it online? That's the issue right now. Like, if you buy Forza on an Xbox, you have to pay to play that online. You can buy it on Steam and not pay a dime.
So, like, cursed thought, but would they not just block you getting to the other stores on their platform if you don't have gold or Xbox Live or whatever it is? I don't know.
Well, I think at that point, the other stores say, well, why are we going to waste our time like maintaining our software for your platform if you're blocking us?
That's a good point.
Are you going to give us a cut of the Xbox Gold or Xbox Live?
Don't foresee Microsoft doing that.
No. Well, this
That's
is the
not
problem.
happening.
This is the problem. Microsoft finds themselves in a very bad position with all this. And finally, Discord is limiting all new accounts to essentially what they refer to as teen status without government ID and face scan. So basically, this is Discord trying to deal with the problems of kids on the platform and are children getting access to things that they should not. So they basically have a sort of like teen status, which limits like certain channels that you're allowed to get to. It limits you being able to the like live stage function of being able to participate in that. Till now, that's been something that you had to set. So the idea was obviously parents, guardians would set that for their child when setting up a Discord account. in reality, most parents aren't setting up their kids' Discord account. And so they are now saying going forward, all new accounts created will be set to this by default. And in order to verify yourself as an adult, you will have to upload a photo ID and then do a face scan, I guess, to show that you match. You've probably done something similar to this on your like phone for other platforms at some point. I know like Apple requires that for some of the functions on it. What is it? The my driver's license or my state ID is on Apple Wallet, and I had to do something similar with that. And so, yeah, I mean, this sounds like something like that. It has unsurprisingly prompted backlash among people, including I saw a Reddit thread, which was, what are our alternatives to using Discord? I think a lot of people have been concerned about uploading their photo ID to Discord.
I'm certainly not comfortable doing it.
Right.
Are you guys even remotely comfortable doing it?
I feel like the places I have done this have generally been like my bank or, financial institutions, which I
Somebody
maybe
who's not going to
falsely
disappear overnight.
Something I maybe falsely assume have pretty high security. I don't know if I trust that Discord has the highest level of security.
Not as far as I could throw them. And it's a computer program. I don't think I could throw it very far.
Sure, yeah. So I guess, do I trust it? No. I don't know if that's going to be enough to stop people when it has become the de facto platform for gaming on not just PCs, but like, you can use Discord on Xbox now for chat and everything. So I don't know. I mean, Mario, I know you use Discord quite a bit playing games online. So
it's my primary form of communication a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have people on campus who are using Discord for RSOs, student groups and stuff. So
I messaged Danny on Discord.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, during the pandemic, I used Discord as a place to for my classes to congregate so that they could have some amount of interaction with each other beyond our 1 hour Zoom call. Basically.
My flatmate is doing online classes, and they have an online group for their online class, and they really like it so far, I think.
Yeah.
It's really helping them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really fantastic platform. I don't know what it will be moving forward. It'll really depend on where, my friends and stuff go,
I think I'm just going to be teen status for a hot minute.
Yeah, I mean, if teen status doesn't restrict...
if I can still message my friends, okay, Discord's still doing what I need it to. I'm not really active in servers anymore anyways.
So, yeah, it'll depend on what all that means, but we'll see.
I mean, I think they are doing this in response to a lot of the controversies around other online platforms such as Roblox and everything.
I mean, Discord itself has, to my understanding, something of a predator issue as it is. I'm not surprised that they've done this.
Sure.
I just don't like it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's like, right, this is the nuance of it. I can understand and would like to believe that there is some good intention with what they're trying to do here.
Do you think it's good intention or CYA?
I mean, I think it can be both, right? I can think it can be covering themselves, and I think it can also be hey, we're trying to take this seriously, and this is the simplest way that we can do that. But I mean, but that's the thing. I also don't really know how else you go about doing that without, it's weird. Yes, this is very invasive, but in some ways, this feels like maybe the least invasive way that you do this as well.
Well, YouTube has been doing something similar, right? So YouTube, if you create a new account today, is actually limiting what you can see unless you verify your age first. And what they have done, and apparently Discord is doing this as well, they are also using some other factors to like sort of self-identify people who are not a teenager. So like if you've had a Discord account for 10 years, they're going, oh, well, this person's obviously not a teenager. And like,
I'm so glad my YouTube account is old.
well, that's what YouTube did, right?
Yeah.
YouTube looked at it and said, well, if you've had a YouTube account for, 12 years, you're obviously not a teenager. And so we don't even need to verify your account in this way. But if you're creating a new account today, they don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So they seem to be doing that. This is very similar, like I said, to what Roblox has been doing, which I think all of these
Roblox have like a weird cutoff of 17 and not 18.
Roblox is a mess. Like
They need
Like
to
that is the dumbest stuff I've ever heard of.
they need to make one of those like Sporkle quizzes. It's like name this object, and it's like something that
Oh my
like
God.
it's a CD wallet.
yeah, the Walkman
Pog.
or something.
Yes, like teaching a popular culture class. Let me tell
Where
you.
were you for Y2K?
Yeah, I mean, this is a legitimate problem, and it's a problem that from the outside, I can look at this and say, I get why people are upset. I get the issues with it, but also from their perspective, I don't know how to solve this better.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think when Mario says this seems like maybe the least invasive way of doing this, I sort of go, yeah, like I sort of get it. Like, I'm sure they were looking around going, well, how do we do this in the simplest form and fashion? I also understand why people are concerned, because then all of a sudden this is potentially getting officially linked to you,
Yeah.
right? It's the whole reason we don't have some central system where you want to be validated. You just say, well, point to my official government account and everything, because there are people on Discord who are not necessarily, it's easy to talk about the people who are doing bad things, right? The people who might be predators, pedophiles, that sort of situation. But there's a lot of people who are using Discord to talk about things where they feel like they might be targeted. They might be victimized. I would assume traditionally, like online spaces like Discord have been places where trans people have congregated because they did not feel safe doing that in public spaces.
Listeners cannot see. I have my fingers crossed, and that's exactly what I was thinking about. It's a two-pronged thing for me. It's not just queer. Like, I'm not a fan of the idea of every message I've ever sent on Discord and all the queer groups I've been in being linked to my government ID. First off, not a fan of that. Not my jam. But also, like, what if people are organizing on Discord? Right? Like, what if you're in Minnesota and organizing on Discord right now? That's scary. I'm sorry. You can be labeled a domestic terrorist for filming ICE. What will you be labeled for helping somebody stay away from them?
And we know platforms like Telegram and such have been targeted for this, right? Like Telegram is supposed to be,
Anonymous?
yeah, anonymous messaging and everything.
Secure, encrypted.
Right. And we know that they have been targeted by governments, not just the U.S. government, but governments around the world. So, like, even not just necessarily like the U.S., right? Like, we also have to think about Discord as a platform that's being used in countries that are more restrictive than the U.S. So, I mean, yeah, I get people being concerned. I also don't know, in an age where, like, right, like, the Epstein files are in the news every day. Like,
How many arrests have we had around the Epstein files, by the way?
well, like, that's a whole other issue. But
I understand. Gaming podcast, but still.
in my lifetime, like, there's never been a time where pedophilia is in the news on a daily basis like this.
True.
And so I completely understand these companies going, wait, what the hell do we do? Right? And I don't envy them in that situation. Like, because I think, Mario, when you say it's a little of column A, a little of column B, is covering yourself. It's also like trying to do the right thing. I think that's accurate. I think probably the people making these decisions are going, well, we don't want that happening here, but also we need to cover ourselves legally.
Yeah.
And it creates all sorts of problems. Yeah, man, like sort of depressing story. Like I'm glad they're trying to do something, I guess is what I would say.
Yeah.
I think doing something's better than nothing. I just don't know it's the right thing.
I will say I'd definitively rather Discord be the one doing this than the government.
Sure.
As against it as I am, I'd rather Discord be keeping their own act clean than the government coming in and trying to clean it for them.
And I think that's very similar to what we have seen historically with the film and music industries and the video game industry, right? With the ESRB ratings. That was very much because the government was holding hearings about violence and sex in video games.
Hays Code 2.
Right. And, that was very much them saying, we'd rather regulate ourselves than the government regulate us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of these online companies, tech companies, are looking at saying we should do this ourselves before the government steps in. And there's chatter on both sides of the aisle to do that.
Do you think that this will dissuade the government from stepping in? I fear that it will be too little too late in some ways.
I guess I would say this current administration is so chaotic, I don't think they could get something like this organized.
That's a good point.
But if we have an Elizabeth Warren administration, as our next administration, she is very much the type who would, push something like this. And I think, again, I think she has the best of intentions, right? Like, I think she's coming from a good place with it. But again, I completely understand why people would be worried about that, right? Look, I'm not a targeted group. I'm a heterosexual white male. I am not the target of the government other than my politics. Right?
Well, more and more that'll get you now.
Right. And so I am not going to be the first line to be panicked over this. But I understand why those groups are.
It's a thing that scares me. There's certainly people that I only have contact through on Discord, and there are people that I might lose contact with if things continue.
Yeah. And I think that's a reasonable response. And I don't say that dismissively or, deal with it. It's I understand why somebody would have that response. I don't know that there's going to be a platform that is not going to eventually find itself in this same position, because it seems like every platform eventually finds itself in this position, right? Like Roblox has found itself in this position because we don't know how else to solve this. And, Roblox has made the argument, we're going to use AI to help do this. And it's okay, well.
That'll fix it.
Yeah, Google has used AI to try to get images off the internet, right? And has been somewhat successful at doing that, using image recognition software and that sort of thing. But I think the issue with live chat, something like this, right, is AI and image recognition tools and other tools, they tend to be good after the fact, not in a live environment like Discord. Easy thing to write off. I think much harder when you start looking at the actual technical hurdles to get through this. Yeah. All right, that does it for news. So let's move on to our big question. And our big question is, because it is the Olympics, we have been, I don't know, have you been watching much of the Olympics, Jannar?
I think of it all as something of a measuring contest that I'm not necessarily interested in. But there's some games that I'd like to see from Olympic sports, for sure.
Yeah. I know, Mario, you talked about you've been watching quite a bit. I've been watching some. So it's been kind of at the forefront of the mind. So our big question for this week is, which Olympic sport would you most like to see a modern video game of? And I note modern video game because, look, we already have Winter Games from Epix for the Commodore 64. It is the perfect Winter Games package. We have Mario and Sonic with actual curling in it. So, you can have Dr. Robotnik curling, which is, what else do you need? But if you were going to make a video game today of an Olympic sport, what sport would you most like to see? And Mario, why don't we start with you?
It would be curling. I mean, I think it's one of those.
I'm so surprised.
Those sports.
Is it with Sonic?
No, probably not.
Oh.
To me, it's like
You lost a cell to Alicia.
you remember that Rockstar ping pong game.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like you could make some like in-depth curling game that would be pretty sick.
That game's good.
Yeah,
That
that's what I'm
Rockstar
saying.
ping
Like,
pong
I
game.
think you could make something that's like not just silly party game.
Yeah, like not a sort of Mario Party
Yeah.
style game, but like an actual like serious take on curling.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of like all the sports games turning into simulation games, but for that one, because there is like it doesn't exist otherwise. Sure. I'd like there to be like some amount of like depth to it. And that's a game where, because there is so much precision and like video game controllers are becoming more and more precise.
I'm imagining this is a VR game, by the way.
No, I don't want a VR game.
The fact that you were like so quick with no.
I feel like there's, I don't know, something you could do that's very interesting with like the precision of like the haptic interface that like so many of these controllers have now.
Well, it's almost like a Tiger Woods when they added the using the thumbsticks
Exactly,
for the swing, right?
Yeah, the hockey games now all do that as well, and like
Right.
the angle in which you
The
move
truck
the sticks.
stick and
Yeah.
Madden.
And so I think that there's something you could do something interesting with that. Rockstar, make it happen.
And it doesn't even necessarily have to be super realistic, because I'm thinking of like Virtua Tennis.
Sure.
And when that game came out, how, for like, not that tennis games were bad, but like it made tennis games exciting for people.
Mm-hmm.
And all it was doing was adding like a little complexity, right? And so I look at it.
When you
just
say
need-
virtual tennis, are you talking about like Wii Sports Tennis or something else, by the way?
No, the Sega, it was an arcade game first, and then got ported to the Dreamcast and other platforms.
Mea culpa, I am baby.
But like those games really made tennis exciting to play as a video game in a way that it hadn't been since like on the Atari 2600.
Tennis for two.
Yes, yes, Mario. Good. You paid attention in class.
I just say I think that might have made tennis exciting as a video game.
or Pong, right? Like,
Yeah.
But like, I can completely like see that because, and I understand what you're saying, like going beyond that very like party game approach to it, making this something that has some amount of skill level to
Something that you could play as a party game, but like you could also have some layer of depth to as well.
Sure.
You've got the difficulty sliders or the sensitivity sliders or something that like you could have this as like, the way that people will play like Madden competitively.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's my choice.
All right, cool. I guess we should have predicted that one.
Probably.
I had a feeling.
Janara, how about your choice?
I'm kind of on the fence here. I lean towards like some type of mountain biking game just because I have a couple of those and I really like them. I think Dissenters is one of them. I think there was some like EA one that was like higher budget that I didn't pay attention to. Because I like-
Downhill Domination.
Sure.
Is that the EA one or is that the Sony one?
I have no idea. I'm going to be honest with
It's
you.
a PlayStation
I remember
2
somebody
game.
had some ads for it.
And
on
it's
YouTube.
cool.
Because I really like those, and I like the going fast. I could see perhaps like a snowing or a skiboarding one. It's kind of on my mind because we went over the cold boards or something. Cool
Borders.
borders. That's
Yeah.
what it was. Yeah, I was like scanning the paper for it. Like, where was it?
Yeah, if you want that game, play SSX.
Okay.
Yeah.
SSX is a very cool game.
SSX?
Yeah.
Tricky.
How old is that?
PlayStation 2, GameCube
Okay.
era. So 20 years old.
Okay, but like now we're hitting my nostalgia points. So like you still got me.
They put one out for the PlayStation 3, right?
There are more recent ones, but I think that's the one that's the first one I think
Yeah.
people would go to
Yeah.
for nostalgia.
Cool.
Yeah, the original one was a launch game for the PlayStation 2.
Oh wow, that's cool.
I think that's part of the reason that game became successful is there wasn't a whole lot to play, and people bought that game
Probably.
to have something to play. Cool. So something hurtling down a mountain at insane speeds.
I think that's fun. Like yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. Mine is a similar choice. I think it would be really cool. We kind of talked about this earlier, to play a luge game, or skeleton, which is even more insane.
What is skeleton?
Skeleton. So luge, you're on your back. Skeleton, you're on your stomach head first.
Oh, wait. Okay. Did you ever play that weird mini clip game that was like a water slide, but it was a luge?
I don't think so.
Once upon a time, there was an old game on miniclipgames.com. And boy, I tell you, it was great in between snack time and lunch in middle school, in elementary school or whatever it was I played it in.
I don't think I've ever been to miniclips.com
I've never heard of it.
It was one of the ones that was whitelisted at my elementary school.
Yeah.
That and Disney games.
But yeah, like I was thinking particularly like I was thinking of it as a VR game, that could be like really quite a bit of fun, or maybe sick inducing.
Absolutely.
But like watching, we were talking earlier about the drone footage, right? Like that really capturing the speed and the like sort of out of controlness of that. I think that could be really fun. I think that would work in VR because you're in a seated position, and like seated position things tend to work really well in VR.
Yeah.
Or, if it's skeleton, I guess lying on your stomach in a VR helmet, which would maybe be like the weirdest experience.
Yo, I feel like you'd feel so close to the ground on your stomach. Like if
Yeah.
you might have to artificially raise the head of the avatar.
Yeah.
Like make it feel less weird.
But that seems like something that would be an experience I would want to try once
That'd be cool.
in a game, right? Like, whereas sometimes when I think about making a sport into a game, I'm like, that's interesting, but I don't think I would have any interest in it. Like speed skating, like that's in winter games. It's fine. But like, I don't know if speed skating translating to a video game excites me, the experience of it.
I think that I'm sorry to cut you
No,
off.
go ahead.
I think that's my other reason with curling as well, is I feel like anything else that would be like speed skating or figure skating, it would have to be so much more like precision simulation.
Right.
And I'm
I'm imagining it almost like Osu or a beat game.
that would be the way that you like make it most simple, but I feel like that almost doesn't capture quite what you're looking for.
It's just playing another game
So-
on top of different visuals.
And so, like, I think it's trying to find that sports game that can find that balance between sort of arcadey without leaning heavy into simulation.
Well, and I think also with curling provides a way to replicate it without abstracting it too much. So when I think about translating figure skating to a controller, right, you almost have to abstract it to like a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater level. Whereas curling,
All right, hold on, you may be cooking with something there.
okay, yes, like use the Tony Hawk Pro Skater engine to make a figure skating game.
Now I'm interested again.
Maybe I would be really into that. And get the cutting edge license.
Y'all ever play? It was on GameCube. Dave Maria BMX something.
Yeah.
Dave Mira.
That's what that was. I liked the Tony Hawk games, but I liked Dave Mira better as a kid. That was my thing. I loved that game.
I'm just thinking where that franchise eventually went.
Wait, what?
There is
BMX game.
Yeah, there is eventually a BMX Triple X game
Okay.
made in that franchise.
Is that bad?
Depending
Are
on
you
your perspective.
Are you familiar what Triple X could potentially be referring to?
Oh, sweet Jesus. Okay.
It is a game where you are riding around on a bicycle nude.
Oh, I thought it was like X Games.
No. Though that would be a reasonable thought with it.
Wait, I'm sorry. They made a pornographic.
As you do. I mean, that's the only
Well,
logical
Mario, thank
direction.
you for corrupting my childhood. What a wonderful podcast.
That game.
I didn't bring it up.
That
Brought
game.
up where it went.
That game
Or was that
had 3 different versions for PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube. And if I remember correctly, the GameCube is the least censored of the 3 versions of that game.
That's fascinating. The Triple X one or the original?
The Triple X.
Okay.
one. No, the original
Sorry,
Dave
what was
Mirra's.
the draw? Like, just you get to see this man's bare ass cheeks?
You get
I
to
don't
see-
understand.
You get to see boobies.
Okay. It was the dots. Okay. Yep. Yep. Okay.
I mean, it is. That comes.
I don't
from,
remember being given a female rider when I was playing a game as a kid.
That comes from a very particular era of video games.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about with God of War.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. The original God of War games.
That was what
game,
put me off of it as a kid.
The Guy game.
Guy, do I want to know?
That
Maybe
one,
I want
that one
protection.
even less so. That might be a post-podcast conversation.
Okay, I'm kind of interested though now.
Do not look up the Guy game. Well, no, seriously, the Guy game is illegal to own.
Wait, I'm sorry. Do I want to know why?
It contains nude images of underage girls.
Okay, yeah, I was about to ask, is it for Epstein reasons? And the answer is yes.
Well, anyways,
Not
yeah.
intentionally.
Yeah,
Wait,
they
what-
didn't. They didn't know that this person was. I believe this person said that she was 18 at the time.
Okay, that's way... It's not great, but
It
it's
doesn't-
less
it's-
bad. It's notably less bad.
This conversation has taken a turn.
It's
Olympics.
taking a bonkers turn. I did not know what I was getting into when I brought up Dave Mario.
There is, like I said, there is an era of video games, and it's that PlayStation 2 era of video games. It is the Attitude era of video games.
The hot coffee mod.
Well, yeah, it is that era.
Yeah.
That is the same era, right?
That's like the only thing that I know of it as. That's why I say that.
And so there are some very, let's say, some games that are legally inappropriate, but there's also a lot of games that are just like have
Gross?
aged very badly.
Games that won't be getting remakes.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be getting a remaster of BMX Triple X. Notably, Dave Mirra's name not on that game. Dave Mirra was apparently
He saved himself.
well, no, he was apparently pretty pissed that they took the game engine from his game and used it
okay.
in that, and they burned a bridge with him.
That's actually pretty reasonable, I think.
No, I think it is entirely reasonable.
It feels a little prudish, but also yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I mean,
It feels weird.
video games have grown up. So we get video games today that have nudity and sex in them, but generally, for the most part, they handle that in a much more mature manner
Yeah.
than games of that era were handling it.
Yeah.
I
do love how gaming has kind of grown up a little bit.
Yeah.
Thinking back to my childhood and how I grew up in something of the Attitude Era, maybe protected from it to some extent.
It's one of those things that needed to happen. I think it was either going to happen or video games was going to completely collapse.
I'm glad it happened earlier and that we're in something of a renaissance now.
Yeah, I mean,
Renaissance and a crash, but same thing.
we talked a lot about Dispatch last year. Dispatch is one of those games that has nudity and sex in it, but does that in a way that is, I guess, much more responsible.
It was pretty good. I have some friends who are also women, some that are trans women, and have some feelings about that game. It feels a little too male fantasy for me, and I'm like, yeah, I get that, but it was good. I liked it. I really liked I can't remember his name. He was in American Fiction.
Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love him. He's so good.
Yeah. All right, we are completely off topic.
Sorry.
We have our answers for the big question, so we will go ahead and wrap this up. As always, thank you to Mario. Thank you to Janara for being a guest with us this week. Thank you to everyone listening. As always, you can check out more of our content by going to salukigames.com. There is back episodes of this podcast, but there's also our Game of the Year list. So, like, if you want to find out some more about the games that Janara was talking about, she has a list on there, as well as Mario and I and some other contributors to the site. So check that out. That does it for this week's episode. We will be back soon with another episode. Until then, take care, play something fun, and